Hello, what's going on, everyone? Yeah, sorry about being a couple minutes late. Literally right as the stream started, I got an email from my old Twitter account from college, like with my college email, that said that you need to reset your password. Someone has logged into your account, and I was like, uh, well, what is happening? I like totally forgot I even had that Twitter account, so I had to go on there, and I was like, is it my YouTube Twitter? It was so odd, and then yeah, it was just very, very, very weird. So I was making sure that I wasn't, that no one was hacking or there was no fraud involved in this before the the stream. So I'm thankful that hopefully it's taken care of now. I changed my password and everything, but yeah, that was kind of weird and strange and off-putting. Um, it's like, yeah, it's very invasive. It's like, who are you? Who are you to think that you can be part of the MVP-ness here? But what's going on, everyone? Great to see y'all here. Aaron Sparrow should be joining us shortly, momentarily. And until then, let's say hi to you guys. Cajun, always here. What's going on, brother? Great to see you. Nomi, hello. Nomi, I think I'm going to see you in 2-3 days in Vegas, hopefully. Start, you coward, says Josh. I love you too. Hopefully you are enjoying your ride home, and hopefully I can give you something better than just peace and quiet. Some hot takes. Nomi says, I'll give you more than a second. Well, sometimes a second is all you need, if you know what I'm saying. No, never mind. Ben, g'day. What's going on, dude? Great to see you. Hey, Ben, you've been putting up some great reads recently on Twitter. So I've been looking some of those up, and I really want to see if I can get into a couple of those and take a look. Jay the Deep Minded, hello, as usual. Hope you enjoyed the stream this morning, of course, with our plastic crack. We've got Riker 1776. What's up, dude? Thank you for being here as well. And Mark McGrath, who's down with MVP. You know me. Good to see you here. Justin, I got lots of She-Hulk questions for Aaron. Ooh, well, we're about to fire them away. And look who it is, my nerdy home, Steph. She says, Max, see you in Vegas soon. I will see you there soon. Steph, I hope you're driving safe. Maybe you can listen to this as you guys are driving cross country, and wherever you are on your trip, I hope you guys are having a fun time. Have you stopped by Buc-ee's yet? Comics Embraced, hello all. Look at that Doom avatar. I like that. And Smile a While, hello, good evening. Yeah, yeah, only 1 second confirmed. But yeah, guys, no, this should be pretty fun. It's going to be very laid back. We were thinking about doing a Sunday night showdown or SmackDown, excuse me, and all the guys couldn't get together. So I was like, you know what? Let's see if I can get Aaron on here. We'll review the Attack of the Dock exclusive. You know, you guys are getting the exclusive. We'll review the Attack of the Dock documentary or film, and we'll go into some other topics if we have some time, but it should be pretty chill tonight. So I'm excited to see you all here. Jared, what's going on, dude? We stopped at all the Buc-ee's, which is the correct answer, which is what I was hoping for. So what did you say, Josh? Notice he skipped my Happy Hands Club comment. That means Josh, I skip half of your comments, dude. Come on. We all know this. No, I'm kidding. What did you even say? Partaking in the Happy Hands Club. I wish. You know what? That would have honestly been more fun if I wasn't being hacked, if my Twitter wasn't, compromised or whatnot. So, well, after introductions, actually, before I bring Aaron in, let me just say this week I will be at the Vegas meetup Wednesday. Thursday we'll be at Chrissy's comedy show, and then Friday we've got Friday Night Tights. So if you guys are in Vegas, please definitely come by and make sure that you come say hi. I would love to see y'all, give you a big hug. But I will be there for the latter half of the week, and looking forward to it. Vegas is always like one of the highlights of the year, just to see you guys, to be with other YouTube creators and stuff. So it's going to be a blast. So yeah, now that I've got that out of the way, Soul Assassin, good to see you as well, man. But yeah, now that I've gotten kind of some intros out of the way, let's introduce my good friend Aaron Sparrow. What's up, dude? Good to see
Matt.
you. It was like a day ago, so
yeah. Max Factor, what's going on? How's it going?
oh, I like that. I like
1
that.
second. 1 second. You could do it twice and take a nap in between. What are we talking about?
Yeah, that's what a nooner is. I mean, you gotta make sure that you get it in and get back to work. So, oh no, me, I'm glad.
I have never been to a Buc-ee's. If I've
Ooh.
driven past many of them, and for whatever reason have never had time to stop, and it's heartbreaking.
It is that is heartbreaking to hear, but you know what that means though? That means that we just have to change that now. So if you get to go to Dallas this year or any other convention or whatnot, wherever you're driving, hopefully we can find a Buc-ee's on the way over there.
Yeah,
so.
I really want to go to Dallas Fan Expo. I think that would be a lot of fun. I'd love to go and just give out some Doomface goodies, prior to the campaign, just stuff for the true believers. That would be fantastic.
Hey, I will be there if you want me handing stuff out, or I'll wear something.
Oh yeah,
I'll wear a Doomface sticker.
I'll make sure that it looks suitably Warhammer, so you don't break brand.
Oh, thank you. Josh says, also, I love how we all talk about the things you can get at Buc-ee's, but we all really know why we really stop there. Everybody poops. You have to sing it like Everybody Hurts by REM. Well, Josh, the creator of, what is it, Celebrities Poop or Everybody Poops?
Celebrities Poop, yeah.
Celebrities Poop, yeah. That's the one by Chris Gore, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, so I bought that from him when I first time I met him in Atlantic City Boardwalk Con. We were out there for the very first con, and very professional con. I think it was Mike Martz that put it on, and just the most professional looking con that you could imagine. But for whatever reason, the attendance was not there, so it was a really quiet show. So ended up hanging out with Chris quite a bit, and got his book, and he signed it for me, and yeah, that book is hilarious. Hey, it's Gideon coming in. We do have a third for the stream.
Yeah, look at that. Look who decided to join us early. Normally he'll pop his head in towards maybe the end if he's feeling like it, but he's popping in early. What's going on, dude? All right. Well, that's about as much as we'll get out of him. But yeah, so we've got a third here in spirit. He'll be hanging out with us.
Maybe he'll walk in front of the camera. Maybe he'll show you a cigarette burn, there you go. Take a bite of that, America.
Oh, no. He's funny because sometimes, I think on Wes's show one time, he actually came up, looked right into the camera, sniffed the camera, and then walked away. And I was like, he's just the star of the show now. I have nothing to do here.
Yeah, people are bring Gideon back. What do we care about this match?
Yeah, for real. So, are you cool with getting into Attack of the Dock? Do you want to go over that one first?
Let's talk about it.
Sweet.
We had a blast. It was a lot of fun. Didn't talk to her, but saw Anna, that Star Wars girl there. So another YouTuber coming out and supporting Chris Gore, and man, the documentary was great. It was just fun to relive a period of time when media was not controlled by 12 people with chips on their shoulders on Twitter.
Yeah, it really was. I think overall my initial reaction was I wasn't really sure what to expect, because I saw the trailer and it looked super fun, it looked vibrant, it looked energetic, and that's exactly what you got from the documentary. But there's more to it. There's so much more depth behind the scenes that you got to see, the chemistry between the hosts, the chemistry between the whole team, and Chris did a brilliant job of really getting people together to create this thing, whether it was edit it, find the footage, because there's hundreds and hundreds of episodes of Attack of the Show, edit all that stuff down and then put it into a cohesive documentary to see where it had its humble beginnings and then where it ended up and where we are now. It didn't cover the Frosk stuff, which I think is fair, because I think ultimately at the beginning of the doc, it said, this is a documentary or a film made by fans for fans. And I just remember the theater cheering, and that's what it was. And I think they just wanted to focus mainly on that more so than, the downfall
Well, the
of
Frost era didn't
you
have
know.
any fans to,
And
to like compile footage and to talk about, it was this just focused on like the real G4, not the zombie resurrection of it that shambled about for a year and then fell face first into its grave. This was about the pinnacle of the show from its very very small roots up to where it kind of like became the go-to for nerd pop culture. It was about how they there's a great section on where they teamed up with Comic-Con, and Comic-Con, much like I always say, they don't know, they're just kind of like going through the motions. They didn't really know what G4 was, and they kind of were like, you can have this little space, and that little space ended up drawing so much attention that even they had to notice that this is popular, we better and that's where Comic-Con kind of like really exploded too, was through G4. That's where you could no longer just walk up and buy a ticket. You had to get it months in advance through a ridiculously complicated website system of signing up and waiting in a lobby and and all the things that people go through now to get to that show. It's when it was just a more charming time, I think. It was it's like everything was simpler. Everything was not so corporate. There was more of a sense of like fun and like you can do anything and anything can happen. And the documentary really captured that. Chris and his team did an absolutely fantastic job. And I have to say, like, I kind of found the beginning of the documentary, like maybe the first 15 minutes, I found a little dry because it was kind of going over like how all of these things came together. And so that was like a little bit like I was interested in it, but like it wasn't completely capturing me. But then once it got into here's where things started rolling. Here's where Kevin Pereira got offered the host gig on Attack of the Show. Here's where Olivia Munn came in. Everything that everybody remembers. Once it hit that point, man, I couldn't take the smile off my face.
That was the big thing, and I agree with you. Once it really got going, I was just smiling the entire time because it brought you back, like you said, to an era where everything seemed to be a little bit more lighthearted, and it was really the first of its kind. And when you look at these other YouTube channels or other commentary channels or other TV shows, just in general, that cover pop culture, video games, nerd stuff, like these guys were doing it first. G4 Attack of the Show was really the place for movies, TV, video games. I've been going back and rewatching a couple of the episodes just because I like after this film, I was like, okay, I got to go back and watch more of this stuff. And it was a pioneer. And like you said, Chris captured that perfectly. The only two issues that I had with it, same as you, the first 15 minutes was kind of jarbled. And I for me, it was just like kind of information and I wasn't really sure what to do with it. But then it all came together and made sense of like, oh, okay, here's why we're getting that. And then now we're sailing on this ship.
Yeah, like the groundwork. It really did a good job of laying the groundwork. It's just that, you were kind of like, if you knew anything about it, like if you were coming in for the first time and you're like, what is this G4? What was this Attack of the Show? It's really good information to kind of like build it up. But for like people like who kind of already knew what the show was, I found myself anticipating getting to that. It was all interesting what they were saying. I was never bored, but like I was really like, okay, let's get to the meat of it because I'm impatient. So,
but once it got to that meat, it was just like, oh, it hit me in all the nerd feels, and it was so well captured of that moment in time. But the show, I think itself, is very timeless. But the other thing that I was going to say that
it's timeless if you have a sense of humor. If you're, if you're one of the people like from Reddit today, you're not going to have a good time with it. It's going to feel like the most offensive thing in the world because it was from the early 2000s. We were coming out of the 90s. The 90s was largely, like I don't remember having big conversations about all the topics that we constantly get bombarded with today because everybody was just kind of like, at least in California and through my high school and things like that, like everybody was just kind of cool with each other in general. And when you found things like Comic-Con, there's a big part of this in the documentary where they talk about how it was a shared experience. It didn't matter what walk of life you came from, you know, what color you were, what your sexuality was. You were all there, you know, you were going to cons and things like that. And G4 was like helping you to celebrate video games and all the things that you loved. And everybody kind of came together over that. And it's before, you know, like the divisiveness of politics found its way even into nerd spaces and started splintering everybody apart. So, you know, it was a really great callback and, you know, a really good portrait of like where it would be nice to go again.
Amen, brother. I mean, one of the things that I noticed that was beautiful about the documentary and what a lot of this footage, what we were able to see through a lot of this footage is that nerds and geeks and dorks have always been diverse. We have always accepted each other. We have always been within this sphere that has loved on one another because of the things that we share and love as well. Even if we disagree on this movie's better, or this show is better, or this comic is better, or worse. And that's the beauty of what the show was. Like, we were railing on each other, but we were also having a good time. We were laughing. And the show was diverse, you know, and the, I think you said politics. I would even say the ideology, you know, because there's a lot of ideology I feel like that's being portrayed or at least pushed within current Hollywood and entertainment, where you have these quotas or you have these things where you can't tell that joke or you can't say that thing or can't mention that thing. And it's become, you know, so close-minded and restricted. Whereas Attack of the Show was anything goes. Hey, we got this tiny little computer and video camera. Let's shove it up some dude's butt to show you guys how small the camera is, you know, or whatever it is. Let's have fun with this. Yeah, see, and
maybe not fun. Maybe not fun for the guy on the table, but
no, that might have not gone over well.
Or maybe it was. I don't know. You know, it depends on his, you know, what he's into.
And you know what? Even if he enjoyed it, more power to him. You know, like,
you know, you gotta love what you do. That's what they say, right?
I mean, he did probably get paid for it. So, and Laura, great to see you again in the chat. Yes, like you said, yes, nerds unite. I love it.
I want to grab that bulldog so bad. I have like a real like. I will stop dead whatever I'm doing if like if a bulldog comes into the situation. You know, I'm like so excited. So you know, every time I see Laura pop up in the chat, I'm like, oh, Laura's here and she brought the bulldog.
I know, right? Yeah, this picture is priceless. She says, back in the day, we did not have all these social platforms where we can go and say what we think. Yeah, and even on the Attack of the Show, they did have forums and they did have like you know, later on, like early 2000s, but mid 2000s, like Twitter popped up, and so they had a board where Twitter posts would actually come down and they'd show the Twitter posts on the show. So I mean, it was definitely not as volatile, probably, you know, at that point in time, but people were still sharing their opinions. So I see, Josh, you say, I blame BVS for ruining fandom. JK, I don't put the JK there. I put that's just a statement. You shouldn't put JK there. No.
Yeah, I blame it for ruining Superman. That's what I blame it for.
That's for, yeah, that whole Doomsday Superman story. No, that was awful.
You didn't like Superman fighting a cave troll? You hear, like, I don't want to get too sidetracked because, you know, it would be nice to like stay on topic one for once on one show. But you know, the thing about Batman versus Superman is like there's a lot of things to like. Like I'm not gonna completely like hammer on it. I think that you know, Zack Snyder, obviously a very fantastic visual director. You know, he's really good at like kind of like stirring like you know, emotion in his scenes and things like that, you know, as far as like symbolism and you know, kind of like in the way that Michael Bay has great visuals, you know, but as far as like executing story and understanding character and making characters relatable, I think that you know, maybe the biggest problem with those films is Snyder seems way more interested in the gods, you know, the superheroes, than he is in regular people. And that translates into the way that he portrays Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. You know, it's like Superman's hallmark should always be how much he cares for just regular people, and that didn't really come through in any of those films. And also the motivations were really muddied with I think Rich Evans called it Murder Man versus Captain Hypocrite. I was like, he's like, I didn't see a Batman Superman movie. I saw Murder Man versus Captain Hypocrite.
That's a very good. That's very cool. Yeah, that's a very good explanation of what that was. Yeah, it was lacking all humanity and empathy, and it was a dark, horrific nightmare that had Superman and Batman in it, and I just that didn't make $1 billion. I don't think it made $1 billion, which is shocking
which is
to me.
insane that you put together the two biggest superheroes that everyone on the planet recognizes, and you don't crack $1 billion. And I think that speaks to the impatience too of the studio and their interference and trying to jumpstart to get to where Marvel was instead of laying the foundation. If they had just been patient, you think about it now. If they had just been patient, they had laid the foundation, and now their stuff was paying off with that discipline, while Marvel is just plummeting because of putting Victoria Alonso in a creative approval role and just all the things that they've decided to adopt and not having a roadmap and the firing of James Gunn and then the rehiring of James Gunn. But by then, your phase 4 was already screwed. Can you imagine how well DC would be doing right now? People would be going, oh, I love the DC movies. Yeah, Marvel, what happened to Marvel? Marvel sure fell off. You would hope anyway. You would hope that they could have hit those heights.
All I have to say is just oof. DC had a moment where they could have capitalized if they played the long game, and they didn't, and oof. And now they're both seeing it. So
nobody who jumped in and decided that they were going to do like a quickie shared universe has succeeded. Everybody who tried to jumpstart it, you think of the Dark Universe, and you think of.
I was just going to say, we're going to have monster movies, The Mummy with Tom Cruise, and we're going to start this dark universe. And I was like, they're the Universal Monsters universe, and I was like, no.
You guys had that idea back when you did Van Helsing. That was the idea of Van Helsing, and it was going to be a TV show, and it was going to be this. And unfortunately, the movie was absolute garbage.
Hey, it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. You wanted to, first of all, Kate Beckinsale, in that heavy makeup and running around in the corset, being the vampire, vampire killer. I can't fault that. Fantastic, just absolutely gorgeous woman. But that movie is like swinging the movie. Like if you take a shot every time somebody's swinging on something, you'll be dead like halfway through the film.
That's a good point. Now that I think about it, Kate Beckinsale is swinging on on like flying vampires. Frankenstein is swinging on a chain down the thing. I guess Van Helsing is swinging across as a werewolf.
But again, could have been good. The Dark Universe could have been good. Like when they announced we're gonna do a shared monster universe, I think people were like, all right, yeah, I can see that. But then unfortunately, the first movie they came out with was Dracula Untold, and then they disavowed that one. And it was like, no, The Mummy is the first one. And then they released The Mummy, and everybody was like, oh, you disavowed Dracula Untold, but this one was good.
Yeah. Reverse those two. Zaxx, great to see you, dude. He said, Max, you handsome bastard. Well, thank you, sir. Zaxx, it is always good to see you.
And I'm here as well.
And then... And anyway, so I'm just gonna do this. No, I'm kidding. Just full screen. No, Ben, dude, you did not have to do this, brother. 20 Australian dollars. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. You already bought a hat. You're crazy. You are crazy. He says, "Hail Max, Aaron, and the chat. Tomorrow here in Australia is Anzac Day, a day where we commemorate the Gallipoli landings of World War I and remember the mateship bravery and sacrifice of our armed forces. Cheers, and lest we forget." Wow. Ben, that is heavy, dude. And thank you for sharing that with us. And I hope to share that with you tomorrow, dude. Because that is incredible. That is a huge moment for you guys. So thank you for, like I said, for super chatting and for sharing that. Let me see. You know what? For that, speaking of heroic deeds and sacrifices on the battlefield, I'll give you this one.
I bid you stand! Stand of the West!
Amen. Thank you, Ben. That was very kind and generous of you. And it looks like we also have a new member. Thank you, Laura. I appreciate that. Always love seeing new members in the chat. And Laura, welcome to Max's Man Cave, to the channel, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for joining.
She looks young enough to have been named for Lara Croft, so I wonder.
Potentially,
her parents were gamers, and they were like,
yeah, I could see that. I could see that. And I realized that the Laura and Momo, the channel is her and her dog. So wherever she goes, her dog must go with her, I guess. So
that's awesome.
I know, that's great. So, oh my gosh, another super chat, but from the infamous writer of You Know Him, You Know Him, or You Know Him, You Love Him, the infamous writer of Born in Blood, Drew with Comics Elite. He says, Max, did you tell Aaron congrats on his amazing work on She-Hulk 175? Oh, you mean the anniversary issue, or the whatever it was called? Also, I just got some huge news that I wish I could share, but not just yet. So we joked, and by the way, Drew, thank you for the $4.99, brother. I appreciate that. But yeah, so on our comic stream last week on Friday on their channel, we reviewed the She-Hulk comic, and it was the anniversary 175th issue of something of She-Hulk, and it was awful. I mean, it was one of the worst things I've ever read, and it was She-Hulk talking about a book club for 33, 32 pages, something like that. Nothing happened. The dialogue was awful. There was no character development. There was no storyline or plot. And the writer is called Rainbow Rowell. And
she's a YA novelist. She did the run. She did a run on Runaways that I don't know much.
Maybe that's what it was, because we thought that it was a pen name because we'd never heard of her before. So we thought that it was just a pen name for someone, and we were like, what if Aaron secretly wrote this?
Why would it be me? Why would it be me that wrote it? I should open the blinds. It's very yellow in here. But
we were just, I think, I forget how it came about, but we were just joking, and we were like, or you know what? I think we said something like, Aaron needs to edit this because he would actually fix this. And then someone said like, oh, what if he actually wrote it though? And then it was just goofy after that. But
if I was going to use a pen name, it would be Akira Yoshida.
Of course, the infamous Akira Yoshida. But then you would get canceled, Aaron, and no one wants that.
I'd be the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics, and then I would hire people who called me racist.
She said a super successful YA, not just a successful, a super successful. Okay, all right. Let's see. Did I miss anyone here? Oh, what's up, Jacob? I'm so sorry, brother. I didn't get a chance to say good evening or good morning to you when we were doing the Warhammer stream this morning. So good evening to you, and thank you for being here. So I'm sorry that I didn't see you in the chat earlier, and I hope you had a good time at church today. And Jaina is in the chat as well. Great to see you, Copa. Yeah, thanks for being here, guys. So, so back to Attack of the Dock. One of the things I just wanted to mention briefly, I'd mentioned that there were two things that I kind of had an issue with, or things that I couldn't really get into. The first one being that like the first 15 minutes. But the second one, it wasn't necessarily like, this is maybe me just nitpicking, but you know how in documentaries they tend to have kind of a soft background and then someone off to the side doing the interview, or having like a discussion, speaking to the camera and giving their point of view of how they saw like the event. Instead of that, you get voiceovers from different individuals, and because they were constantly changing, I couldn't tell who was talking at one time. So it would be like, you know, on the bottom third or whatever, it would say so-and-so, you know, director or producer of this thing. And they'd be talking as kind of B-roll happens or as the show plays. I wish I could see them to put a name to the face and to kind of get a break from the, you know, quick cuts and the scenes and stuff. But all of them had incredible things to say about the show, and they brought a lot of really, they were able to articulate a lot of great points throughout the whole documentary. I just don't know why we weren't able to, you know, see them. Maybe because Chris was interviewing them through Zoom or through like a streaming software to where he couldn't actually be there with them to film them. But like I said, a nitpick might have been something that is just totally doesn't even, matter.
No, I think it's a good point, because I kind of disconnected from the people that were talking and no longer started like trying to figure out who they were, because there wasn't that. Like, even when it would say it, I'd be like, well, I still don't really know who that is. So like, even if it had just been like a little photograph of like their head cut out, with their name, and then like while they were talking, that would have helped. That would have been a good visual cue to kind of keep me aware of who was talking about what, because the voices, I don't think were distinct enough for me to really like go, oh, that was the guy that was talking before. And so I think that would have been helpful.
Josh says, Max, what is your pen name? Mine is just Max, but with 3 X's. You can guess what I write then.
Oh, you too can have a $100,000 crowdfunding campaign.
What in the world would I ever produce? What up, Michael Bancroft? What is going on, dude? Great to see you. He says, too critical. Is there such a thing? I know, right? You would never believe it. We're about to get into it, brother. But I can understand if you can't stick around, no problem. Watch it on the replay. But if you can, we'd love to have you hang out for a little bit, because I think we're going to get into this video in just a second. Ben says, I need to go back and watch the latest Warhammer stream. They go live at midnight for me. Oh, shoot. Yeah, don't watch those live then. There's no need to. You can always just watch them on the replay. If it was produced during the dark times, good chance it was all Zoom interviews. Oh, yeah, maybe during pandemic, that could have been, for sure.
Not everybody was just braving it like I was.
I was just going out into the world.
I was just going out and I was doing
my
stuff.
immune system,
I realized pretty quick. I was like, oh, this is largely bullshit. No, started living my life accordingly. So when people are like, oh, the time we're lost, I was like, I lost like a month.
You're like, after that, I was out doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Vinzinger, thank you for letting me know, because I will if it's cool, I'll call you Vincent, because that's much easier than this name here.
I like to think that his name is Vin Vinzinger, much as our friend is named Perch Perchington.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That is very true. MV Penis is a member now. Is he?
Oh no!
I didn't see him come up as a member. Oh boy, did I miss it? Yeah, you guys will have to let me know, but I did not see this. Anyway, if MV Penis is a member, thank you for joining. MV Penis is he's notorious around these parts. So
it's a little off-putting when you see MV Penis has entered the chat.
Yeah, you're like, oh, who's that? Oh boy, yep. Max said I can come out if he gets 20 likes. Well, how many likes are we at now? I mean, enough to get MV Penis to poke his head in. So that's
how do you look younger now than in that photo that he's using? You look like a dad. You look like, like, hey, this is like the sitcom dad that's coming home after a long day of work, and he has to deal with all the shenanigans that the smart ass kids are up to.
That's actually a good point. You know what? I think 1, it was the beard, and 2, it was the weight. I was maybe 280 something pounds, 290 pounds there. Mm-hmm. So I think those 2 things just, hey, but at least I had hair. Like that's
but even the hair, I feel, is like, it's weird that like you have your head's shaved and you look younger with a shaved head than
I guess
with
that's
a full
true.
head of hair. That's
it's cleaner, maybe. Who knows? So
you look like that picture looks like somebody who could have been working on G4 back in the day. Like, that would have been one of the pictures that came up of a guy talking.
See, there you go. That's how they should have done it. Dude, fuck yeah, Michael. Down 35 pounds, dude. That's awesome. Keep killing it.
That's
now,
great until he tells us that he like lost a leg.
Oh no.
Like,
I was gonna say, is it from you rollerblading all over the place? Because that intro, man, there's nothing better. So I wonder if it's all that rollerblading that got you to lose the weight.
Congrats, though. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's badass. So, real quick, final thoughts. What did you think overall? What was the highlight of it? Of just the experience and the film? I'll let you kind of take that with what you will.
The highlight for me was probably the Comic-Con stuff, like when they were talking about how they started going to the trade shows and things like that, because I was actually there for a lot of that. I actually was standing right there when Olivia Munn was in the slave Leia costume and was filming that stuff and giving the crew a hard time. Like, when the cameras were off, she was doing everything she could to ruin it for them, and make it completely unsexy. It was fantastic.
So funny.
So that was like that was fun, and just like kind of like reliving just that era with her and Kevin up there, just bantering, and both of them always seemed like up for anything, and they were really self-deprecating. They didn't mind embarrassing themselves for a laugh, didn't take themselves seriously. Really, really nice.
I completely agree with you on all accounts. I think if anything, this documentary will just bring a huge smile to your face, because it will give you an opportunity to kind of go back into the past, not because of, member berries and, I remember this. It's much more than that. It's showing you a moment in time of where things were simpler. Things didn't seem to be so divided and corrupted. Things seemed to be much simpler, like I said, and people just loved on each other because of our nerd and geekiness, and that was kind of the beautiful part about it, and that's why it was so fun. And so I loved seeing that, because it reminds me of where we were, and it also kind of shined a light on where we could potentially be, if we found our way back to that. And so I'm hoping that through this documentary, people can see this, people can relive it, but then they can also take the beauty of what it was, and they can apply it to their own YouTube channels or their own journals or their websites or their films, because that's what we need right now. And so, hey, cheers to Chris Gorham and his whole team. They really crushed it with this, and it was truly something special. And I'm glad that I got to go with you, man, because we really honestly didn't bounce our ideas off of each other afterwards too much. So this is actually the first time of us openly, discussing the film. I think we just had such a fun time. We just, well, granted, afterwards we went and had drinks with Chris. So, I mean, we really didn't talk much about the film, but because we were just laughing with him the whole time. But yeah, so I think overall this was a lot of fun, and I highly encourage everyone to go see it once it comes out, for sure.
Yeah, if you were a fan of the show back in the day, I mean, even if you weren't, it's just a nice little time capsule for you to check out. But if you were a fan of the show, it's kind of like, I didn't really expect this, because I didn't realize, I was sad when it went off the air, but because I was like, oh, that thing I liked is gone. But I didn't really realize until I saw this, and I went back and I'm looking at the old footage again. I didn't realize like kind of what an important time that occupied in my life. So it was really like kind of getting together for a reunion with like old friends of yours, even though they have no idea who I wasn't connected to the show at all. I was just viewing it, but it really did feel like getting together with old friends. And when you see the camaraderie behind the scenes and how much they all like were just, a tight knit group. And when they called them in to cam the show, how everybody had a celebratory attitude, because they were like, you know what, we still did something great, and you're not going to take this away from us. You can take it away, but like everything that we accomplished is still there, and still, will still live on. So it was, that felt great.
Wasn't that cool when because they said that once they went into that room, they knew everyone was going to be fired, and yet when they went in, their reaction was completely, mostly you would think that most of them would all be like, all right, here's the conversation. But no, they all went in and started celebrating and going, hey, you want a drink? Or hey, let's go out after that. Because like you said, high fives all around and stuff, because they weren't, upset at what was ending. They were excited for and thankful and grateful for what they had produced, what they had made, what they had created. And it's very rare that you have a team that is so focused on their art, their craft, and just by having fun. It's very rare that you see that now. So that was really cool to show that in the documentary.
When you get creative people together, and they're doing something that they love, and like the suits just kind of like get out of the way and let them create, they do their part with the marketing and with, like, okay, this is what the show needs to be. But then it's the creative people that really get in there and get to do it. You always end up with a better result. Every company I've ever worked at, there's always somebody on top that ruins everything, that shoots everything in the foot. It's like there'll be a point where everybody's clicking together and everything's running on all cylinders. And then somebody, will be like, oh, I haven't had enough direct involvement with this. And you're like, yeah, no, that's why it's successful. It's because you haven't
That's a good thing, yeah.
Direct involvement. And then they get in and they just muddy it up with their bad ideas. There's nothing worse than an executive that thinks they're a creative.
Especially when you hear, what's the phrase? It's like, wouldn't it be funny if, or what if we did this? And automatically those words, you're starting to go like, what are you trying to do here? So yeah.
What if we made Launchpad a woman? What if we aged Goslin up and made Goslin an adult? That would be good, right? That'd be great.
No.
What if we made MODOK a complete joke because he's a big head and it's funny? These are all the ideas that these are all bad ideas that get pitched, and if they make it out, you're just screwed. What you've got to be able to do is you've got to be able to take that executive and you've got to be able to just turn them so that they turn away from their bad idea, and then there's like a really good idea that they get to think is theirs. Is the best way to handle it.
Great job, sir. I fully agree with you on this point that you made. Not the other one, but yeah. Play to that conceited nature. Zaxx says, Aaron, you have my full attention. And Laura, she says, you look great. Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I'm very glad that after playing football, I was like, you know what? I don't need to be looking like I play football anymore. I can look like a normal human being. Mark says, also Chris is awesome, and his love for that time is contagious. Yes. Hearing Chris talk about that is also what gets you passionate for it and also gets you excited. So like when Chris went up to do the Q&A afterwards, it was just fun to listen to him talk about the process and what fun they had. So Chris definitely helps with that. The name of the documentary is called Attack of the Doc. It's about Attack of the Show, which was the G4 TV show back in the early 2000s. I want to say 2005 was when it first started.
Yeah, it was when it was really, really big when I was at Tokyo Pop. So yeah, it would have been around that time.
Oh my gosh. Of course, McDizzy is in the chat starting fights. That's because Max is a little bitch. McDizzy, take MV Penis's name out your mouth, okay? And take my name out your mouth. So you best believe that when I get to Dallas, you better be able to step up. If you can't talk shit in the chat, you better be able to talk shit in person, because coming for you, McDizzy.
Are you saying that McDizzy needs to do better? That he needs to step up? Is that what you're saying?
You need to do better, McDizzy. I don't know how you need to do better, but you just need to do it.
You need to do it. You need to do better.
Yeah.
And then McDizzy goes, oh, I just never thought of that.
Okay,
I'll just do better.
No, you're right. It was so simple all along.
How did I not see it the whole time?
Too funny. Okay. It looks like thanks for the gift membership, Josh. Josh, thank you for gifting memberships, man. I didn't. It looks like StreamYards is fucky, man, because it sometimes it won't show that. So I'm so sorry if I missed that, but thank you guys for all your donations and for your memberships and stuff. I see the super chats and I see if there's a member that gets put on here, but I don't know if I see gifted subs. So, but yeah, thank you guys. I truly appreciate it.
Can I tell you guys, I actually sat there in that chair on Friday. I actually got to hang out in what I have dubbed Fortress Maximus. So,
I like that.
Yeah.
I was almost going to say Castle Grayskull, but that is over your left shoulder over there.
Yeah, although
right
really,
shoulder. Yeah.
I'm going to move things around. I think I want Snake Mountain to be more prominent, and I'm going to get some lights to shine on it, because my head just takes up all of Snake Mountain, which is just depressing.
No, I love it, man. It's really coming together. I like it. So it's looking good.
It's all haphazard, but there's stuff on there that doesn't go together, and because I'm just messing around with stuff when I'm not streaming, but it'll get there.
Yeah,
it's better than my Christmas tree, which was up through the end of February, and people were like, "What do you do? When was this video shot?"
I don't know. I think people really came to love that Christmas tree. Josh says, "You're welcome, guys. Just winning those brownie points before Dallas Fan Expo."
Josh is going to be there too, so Joe
Oh,
Corallo,
good.
you and Josh
That's
and I
right.
all together.
Yeah. I really want to see if I can bring some sound equipment and my camera and see if we can do something just together, just to have fun and film something to show that we are all human beings in the same room together. So, but yeah, Josh, thank you, dude. You truly didn't have to do that, and I appreciate you gifting those memberships. Believe me, you won't have to win brownie points over anyone once you start your own channel, because you will have so many more subscribers than me. It won't even be funny. So thank you, though. I appreciate it. Cajun, we'll see you there. We'll see you at Dallas, but that's still a couple months away. So the next thing I kind of want to bring up, and well, I'll leave it to you because I know we want to try and get a panel to talk about some of the topics that we're going to discuss tonight. But the first one I was going to go over is, are we too critical? And it was from this video that I had watched from Mint Hunter Comics. And so I wanted to get your take. So we could either leave it to where we, leave this, put this on hold until we get a full panel, or we could go over it now and leave the second topic, which is what happens when a property gets manhandled by, mainstream. Is there one that you would prefer to go over tonight?
No, let's talk about properties getting manhandled by the mainstream, and whether or not we're too critical about it. By the way, I don't know this guy, but he's got a cyborg Superman back there that I think is pretty damn cool. So
his statue game is on point, and he's a really big collector. I've subscribed to his channel for a while, or I've watched his stuff, and like. The dude really knows his comics. He's a big collector, big grader. Like, he sends comics into CGC and stuff. But he doesn't really do these videos much. He doesn't really step into the whole, I don't want to call it culture war, but he doesn't step into the arena of commentary. Mm-hmm. He more so just stays to hey, here are 5 graded comics that I have in my collection, or something like that, So he stepped into the realm, and I hate to say it, but once you step into the ring, my man, you got to be ready to get punched, because there are some things that I heard in this video where I was like, no. That is incorrect, sir.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Yeah, so there's a reason why we call this SmackDown, right? But
that's right. Well, sometimes you call it that.
Sometimes it's SmackDown, sometimes it's Showdown. Who knows? Sometimes it'll be Hoedown, and it'll be
when we get to Dallas.
There you go. That'll be fun. So, but we'll do a stream called Chads. Josh, is that really what you want to call it? Chads with a Z.
The Z makes it cool.
Yeah, the Z makes it very cool. And might be able to make it over to Dallas for Fan Expo. Ben, if you could, dude, fuck yeah, that would be incredible. But I know Australia, and I know how restrictive they have been. So, man, just stay safe over there, dude. If you don't need to leave if you don't have to.
No, Australia and Canada are having a bad time.
Yeah. All right, let us play this bad boy, and we'll go. I'll actually play it 1.5 times speed, so it's not too boring for us.
We, as comic book collectors and enjoyers, a little bit too harsh? Are we too critical of movies, TV shows, video games, and comics? Long story short, I believe we are, and I think it's something that's evolved in more recent years. I think it's tied to social media and outside influence. We're going to get into.
So real quick, and I know it's only been 20 seconds. I want to say comic book criticism, movie criticism has been around forever. Are there toxic idiots, bumbling fools on social media who take it way too far, take it to the extreme, say some absolutely heinous shit, and make everyone feel bad? Yes, there are those people. But there's also nuance to things. There's nuance to everything. And I think he covers a little bit of it. But for the most part, I think we as fans haven't gotten too harsh or too critical. I think that a few people, a small minority of assholes, are making it kind of shitty for everyone, if that makes sense. Does that sound right? Does that track, Aaron?
No, I agree with that. I'm curious, though, why the conversation is always, are we as fans too critical, and less about, are the studios just giving us crap? Like, you know, part of the reason that fans are so critical, and fans have always been critical, you know, you go back and you read old comic book letter columns, and it's in there, you know, people like saying, I didn't like this and I didn't like that, and then the editor is responding to them. The difference is there's always been a filter, and that filter has always been the people that were doing the creating had the control over what criticisms you saw. So they could address the things they chose to address, and, you know, just push the rest of the stuff to the side. The onset of social media has taken that power away from them, which is why, you know, like pros loved it when it was just forums and they could go on there and be a rock star. And the person who owned the forum was so excited to have a professional there that they would censor everything for them. You know, they would keep them from receiving any criticism. They would delete it. They would block those people. You know, now with social media, you can't really do that. Everybody's opinion is out there. Everybody's got a soapbox. Unfortunately, it's led to everybody with an uneducated opinion thinking that they, you know, have the podium and that everybody's super interested in what they have to say. And unfortunately, it's done the same thing for comic creators, which has made fans more critical. You know, once you kind of realized, you took away the mystique, you know, remember in Wizard Magazine when you would see like, these are the top 10 writers and these are the top 10, top 10 artists. And of course, that was all arbitrary and it was all political, but, you know, you didn't know that. And everybody had this mystique. You're like, oh, yeah, you know, like Ron Mars on Silver Surfer, he's one of the top writers. I'm really enjoying his run. And now, you know, Ron Mars, you can go find him on social media and you can go, God, I hate this guy. You know, like, you know, whereas before he had like a mystique. You're like, man, these people are up their own ass. You know, man, they think they're somebody, you know, from celebrities all the way down to comic book creators who are not celebrities, but they like to think they are. So, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, we haven't become more critical, I don't believe. I just believe that we can see more of how the donuts are made, and we can see how shitty some of the people are that are making the donuts are in their personal lives and in their opinion of you. You know, before you never knew. You were reading X-Men. I never knew what Chris Claremont thought of me as a person. You know,
such a good point.
Just enjoyed his work, but now you can go on and like I just saw, Josh Gad, you know, one of the biggest sacks of crap in Hollywood, saying that everybody who has a Twitter blue now is a neo-Nazi. And I'm like, really? Because I like the edit button and I like to be able, you know, and I like to have a little bit more reach. That automatically makes me a neo-Nazi. You're not painting with a broad brush, are there, you sack of crap? You know, it just guarantees that, like, okay, so now I will never support anything that you're in, even if other people are in it that I like, because you are in it. I don't want to have anything to do with it. So all you do is you hurt your own, you know, you hurt your career. And you know, although you don't see it right away, but you hurt the products from the studios that are paying you to be representative of their brand. And I think that there's a huge responsibility that comes with that. You know, I'm not responsible for anybody's brand right now except my own. So I'm, you know, freewheeling and I can say whatever it is that I want to say. But you can bet that if I was working on something for somebody that, you know, was like a big company, I'm going to toe the line a little bit. I'm going to put it, you know, I'm always polite to people until they really prove that, you know, they're not worthy of it. You know, in my interactions online. But, you know, if I was part of a company, I'm representing a brand and I'm there talking about it, you can bet I'm going to be that much extra customer service focused, because this is a customer service business. You're asking people to give you their money for a product that you're involved with, be it a movie, be it a, you know, an animated series, be it a comic book, whatever it is that you're doing. You know, you are in the customer service business. You need to be mindful of how you're treating their customers.
You better tell Joe Glass this is a customer service business, because he does not believe that. But yeah,
Joe Glass has so many customers. That's why he never has to beg people to buy his books so that he can pay his rent, right? Like, I just can't believe the disconnect.
One and the same. Yep.
It's like, Joe, you know, get a life coach. Get a life coach that is not Twitter. You know, somebody who will tell you that, like, yeah, if you were a little bit nicer, if you're a little bit more pleasant, if you, you know, were less divisive, you could maybe pick up some customers who would support you. And maybe they'd actually like what you wrote. You know, stranger things have happened. Not many, but they have. You know, so like maybe they'd like what you wrote and they'd check out your next project, or they'd check out your next project. It's about cultivating a relationship with the people that are supporting you. You know, anybody who comes here and watches this stream, anybody who watches us on, you know, on Wes with Thinking Critical, or anybody who's seen me on the rare occasions that I pop up on Clownfish TV, you know, any of those things, or anybody who's bought my books, or, you know, anything, you come up to me at a show, I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to try and like send you away with a nice experience. Not only because it's the right thing to do as a human being, but because you have supported what I do. It's you guys that make all of this possible. And when comic creators forget that, when Hollywood forgets that, you get into the situation that you're in now, where it's like, can Star Wars ever come back, or is it continually going to be a diminishing brand? I don't know at this point. I don't know if it can come back, because they have alienated the fan base so much that, now they've just got kind of like the consumers who just kind of like eat everything and then get excited for next thing. Every Marvel movie is the best Marvel movie ever till the next one. The people that just don't think, they don't put any thought into this, and that's fine. If that's how you consume entertainment, that's your business. But and I'm happy for you that you've found something that you can enjoy. But at the end of the day, the responsibility is to entertain, and the responsibility is to appreciate the people who got you where you are. And I hope never to forget that in anything, even in the small measures of success that I've had.
I don't think you will, I don't think you will forget that, because we were talking the other night, one of the biggest things that I think you and I treasure a lot is just being able to be grateful and thankful for what we have and what we've been given, and what we've worked for, and what we've, blood, sweat, and tears, whatever it is that we've done. Just by being grateful and thankful for those things changes your entire livelihood. Like, it changes your entire life by the type of outlook that you have. So I think you will always have that. I think that's ingrained in you, something that you've made sure that is something that's very important to you. And because of that, I don't think you'll ever forget that aspect. But Smile, I know you got to head out, so thank you for being here tonight, and have a great rest of the evening. I had a couple things real quick. McDizzy, I am calling you out. Better watch your back in Dallas. McDizzy is the alter ego. If MV Penis is my alter ego, McDizzy is Josh's alter ego. Drew says, like those cis jackasses on Comics Elite. Am I right? well,
you know what, Drew? You could never be a bigger cis jackass than Ben Grimm, apparently, from some Fantastic Four related comics that I saw this week, where he gets lectured about how his pain, the things that he's gone through being the Thing, doesn't really matter because he started out as a cis white male. So it doesn't count. He gets lectured to, woman-splained to by an alien who I'm assuming the character is an alien, but she does not recognize his transgressions as much as hers. So therefore, his point is cast aside, because he is not. It is not welcome there. It is some bullshit, and you guys are going to see that this week. But yes, great to see you, Drew. And Soul Assassin, social media took the barrier away from writer to reader, and I think that's kind of what we're seeing is, and I think this is something that Mint Hunter Comics might say, is that, well, you're able to disassociate yourself with the writer and the creator and the work and the creator. You're able to kind of separate yourself from the art and the artist. And to an extent, I think some people can do that for some artists, but others, it's so blatantly in your face that they are telling you, I hate you. I hate everything that you are. I don't want you reading my comic books. And I'm going to write that into my comics so that you don't read my comic books. How are we supposed to separate ourselves from that art that's lecturing us or telling us that they don't want us there? And so it becomes very divisive. So there is an extent of like separating art from artists, but there are only certain circumstances where you're able to do that. So Mark says, I think fandom can be inconsistently critical in some instances. Inconsistently critical, maybe, Mark, just depending on what your bias is. Like maybe someone who's on the left might be more critical of something on the right, and vice versa. So I think I can see where you're coming from in terms of inconsistency because of their own personal bias. But I try and keep, in that regard, I try and keep like a non-biased view of things that I'm critical about. Because I'll say, if there's a conservative comic book that comes out, like I think it was Thin Blue Line, no thank you.
I do not want to read that. That sounds awful. And I'm pretty sure the guys over at Comics Elite read it and they said it was pandering bullshit. So stuff like that. I'll be critical of something, even though I technically like agree, quote unquote, agree with their politics, which is very subjective. And I haven't read the book, so I can't say for sure. But I don't want to read it. I don't want to spend my money on that. Tell me about a sci-fi tale of a space pirate looting and going on adventures. Like, that sounds fun. Don't give me allegory for a thin blue line comic, cop comic. I don't know. It just seems like too entrenched in ideology and stuff like that. I don't want that.
Yeah, there's some. I mean, there's going to be some pop culture and kind of and how it relates politically commentary in Doomface, but it's all going to be like very. It's going to be very tongue in cheek, very basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do kind of the South Park method, where I'm pointing out everything that's ridiculous about either argument and or either side, and kind of like the ridiculous ways that they go. So there'll be some jokes. It won't be the focus of the book, but there'll be some jokes in there, in that regard. But it's largely, it's like I'm not giving you a political manifesto. I'm just trying to make you laugh.
And even when you've given me brief looks into your world and into your universe, whenever you talk about Doomface, you tell me about him as his character. You tell me like what makes him tick, what makes him, you put on the voice, you do the impression, and then you talk about why that bugs him, or like what his complex is, and the little things like that. You're not talking about like, okay, so because I hate capitalism, I'm going to make Doomface hate capitalism, or whatever that. It's like, no, Doomface has much more of a character than just a satirical nature to him. He's an actual character that you've written, and you have a story that you want to tell. It can be tongue-in-cheek and satirical at times, but that is not the main reason for this outlet, I guess. At least that's what I've taken from whenever you talk to me about it. So
yeah, no, it's just all it's all springing out of the character and their worldview. And I don't really present anybody as being particularly correct in their worldview. It's like everybody has their worldview, and it's up to the reader to decide, who they identify with, or who, I think they think there's a germ of truth in what the character's saying. If that's all up to the reader. It's funny, just since you mentioned capitalism in that, I'll tell you a little story. Yesterday at the show, I'm sitting and I'm like writing some stuff down, and one of the guys is helping a customer, and I hear them say that, like, well, as long as I have to be part of this capitalist hellscape, I might as well buy things that I enjoy. And I heard capitalist hellscape, and in my head, I got a picture of the person saying it. Like, I got a mental image of the person saying it, and when I looked up, I was not wrong. Like, you could, they say you can't judge a book by its cover, but if someone tells you what's inside, you might be able to design it. I thought to myself, this person's going to be morbidly obese. They're going to probably have some kind of colored hair, piercings, and some terrible tattoos. And I looked up, and sure enough, I was right on all accounts. And
wow.
I was like, yeah, of course. Because, the fact of the matter is, stereotypes come from somewhere. And when you see enough things, like, these things start to coalesce, and you start to, build this worldview. And I hate that we're like in that space now where I can hear somebody's opinion. I can probably tell you every other opinion that they hold, and that they're all received opinions because they don't think about anything. They don't examine anything themselves, just like what goes into their head. It's like when you see those videos on the street and the guy's like, well, somebody's like interviewing somebody, and they're like, yeah, what do you think of, this? And they're like, well, I think that, it sucks that we don't have the same rights as all these, hetero white males. And they're like, oh, okay, what right don't you have? And they can't, there's no answer. They're like, well, I don't really know. And like, that doesn't make you examine what you just said. Like at no point does it make you go, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, I'm having a conversation with you, and I'm like, I think this, and you go, yeah, but what about this? And I go, oh, I didn't know that. I guess I gotta do some soul searching and figure out, whether what I think I know is really accurate. People just don't do that anymore, it seems like.
You would think there would be some sort of inner monologue to have them question something, but this is something that they're posed with. This is kind of interesting. Darko says the problem is that conservative comic is that they're not allowed to exist. Mike Barron's Private American got taken down. So yeah, like Darko, I absolutely think that there should be a space for, both sides of the aisle if they want to publish a comic. But ultimately, I would hope that the comic doesn't need to be one side or the other. Like if you want to put a message in there, there have been liberal comics that have read. I mean, you could even say that even though Ann Nesenti is much more liberal, she writes comics that are enjoyed by everyone. So like something like that. I don't know. I do know what you're saying though, Darko, because I think in this day and age, we need both voices. And if one is being silenced by media and big tech, then that's censorship, and that is, I mean that's not American. That's not an American thing. I wish I could articulate that better, but yeah, I mean, I would hope that we would be allowed to publish both, and that's the problem with this. So,
well, it's when somebody complains about something, they're like, oh, this political party's doing this, and you say, okay, well, it's just the exact same thing that your political party of choice is doing, just reversed, and you point it out, and then they'll say something like, I'm not interested in both sides in this. Well, of course you're not, because you're speaking from your bias, and you have a team, and it's okay when your team does it, but when the other team does it, it's the most reprehensible thing ever. And it's like, as soon as you go to that, as soon as you reveal that about yourself, I know that there's no chance of having a rational conversation with you, because you're not willing to look at your own, to examine your own biases and come to my realm of thinking, which is, we're getting screwed from all sides. And I can build you a case as to how that, as to how to prove that. And I understand that maybe you feel that you're getting you're getting screwed a little less by party A or party B, and so that's the one that you're going to vote for. But what I'm saying is that we should be looking at ways to break the wheel and and get things back on track to to where we're the ones that matter as the American people. We're the ones who's, who what we want is being represented, what's best for us, what's best for our country, what's best for our economic system, what's best at making America grow and be strong and have opportunities for everybody. That's what we should be looking at. But, it's much better to, for the politicians to divide us up, get us fighting amongst ourselves. And then while we're doing that, they're carving up everything a little finer amongst them and their cronies and getting their sons on Ukrainian energy boards, even though they're not qualified to do it. And, hey, people be like, oh, you're going after Biden. Yeah, I am. But I'm also going after Romney. I'm going after, like, they all do it. So like, I don't get bogged down in this us versus them, because the only us versus them is the American people versus the government.
Boom. There you go. That's the thing. It's the division that I hate. It's the division and the dehumanizing. Like the media and big tech will continue to dehumanize Trump supporters, or, conservatives just in general, or Christians, or straight white males, or veterans, which I happen to be all of those things. So it's like, oh, good.
You monster.
You are a literal Satan on earth. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, good. Let's just dehumanize this guy. Well, actually, no, that would be a good thing because most, they had a guy on CNN the other day who in his bio was like, "Hail Satan," and they were like, "Yeah, so tell us about what you think." And I'm like, really? You don't think that's like a kind of a weird source to have? But hey, maybe I'm biased.
Why are you so biased against Satan, Max?
Lord of the underworld, Lord of evil and suffering and sin. I think I might have a bit of a bias
what
there.
What did he ever do to anybody? Come on, the nice thing about the Bible, much like one of the Acolyte actors told us about Star Wars, is that it really just depends on what side you're on.
Oh my god. It's really gray. There's no really good or evil in Star Wars. Who are you kidding? And Michael, this is it too. I don't like the ham-fistedness of things, when even if it's an underlying thing that I agree with, it gets to a point where you're just like, I get it. I don't want to read about this. Like, yes, that's fine, but like, can we get back to the story? So that ham-fistedness can get old real quick. Josh, you're not interested in whataboutisms, and that happens a lot in divisive conversations. Is, oh yeah, well, what about when he did this? And it's like, we're not talking about that. We're talking about this thing right now that's currently happening, or this comic, or this movie, or whatever it is. But you are interested in, Josh. I just got a notification on my phone that you just bought not one, but 2 MVP hats. Is that correct? So thanks for buying those, man. Hopefully you like them. They've turned out really great. Ben can attest to that. Ash can attest to that. Cajun and Dr. Rachel can attest to it. So yeah, man, you better be wearing those around the convention so that people can see just how much of an MVP you are.
Are we
Or
just
an
gonna have
MVP-ness,
we're just gonna
yeah.
have like all of our YouTube drip? Like everybody's gonna have a piece. Like we're gonna go sell our clothes, sell space on our clothing, like like a NASCAR driver. So be rocking the MVP hat, have the Geeks and Gamers patch on your arm, you're wearing a Critical Drinker shirt. You got Nerdrotic Space on the back, like you Steph from My Nerdy Homes logo over here. We're just
Doomface lanyard,
Doomface
lanyard or sticker, yeah.
Let's just all be tricked out.
And everyone that walks by us will see that and they'll go, look at that alt-right Nazi. And then we'll go, oh, you mean the fun YouTubers that I like to watch because they're funny and they are enjoyable? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Were you going to say something?
No. I was just going to riff off of what you said, but the moment is lost.
It'll be back soon, I promise. Laura says, you two are such nice guys. Glad I can join this chat. Compared to some aggro ones I was part of, where you die if you say that George Martin is taking too long to finish the book. No, I mean, Laura, I think I'm glad that you feel welcome here. And that's all that I can do. And that's what Aaron and I hope to do with these kind of streams, is to enjoy allowing other people to be part of this conversation. Because even if people disagree with me in the chat, I would still want to at least acknowledge it and have those conversations. So, I mean, yeah, I too believe that George Martin is taking too long to finish his book. Do I think he will ever finish it? That's a great question.
When you look at George, he looks like a guy with one foot in the grave and the other on a banana peel. So it's like, like, George, come on, the clock's ticking, buddy. I guess Brandon Sanderson will have to finish it for him. Like he had to finish the Wheel of Time series. Fortunately, he had all of the notes from Robert Jordan before Robert Jordan passed. But yeah, it's no, Laura, that's fantastic. We're really glad you're here. Everybody in the chat, you're allowed to disagree with us. You're allowed to take issue with the things that we're saying, and present arguments to the contrary. That's part of the reason of doing this. Is it's like an open panel discussion. It's why YouTube is so great, because now, you used to have to go to a Comic-Con for this panel and you had like 8 people on a stage and, they only had an hour to talk and everybody got a little bit of, and then like maybe 3 people got to ask a question. And then it's like, all right, get out. Come on. We got to bring in the next panel, which is like editing comics the Boone way. And like 3 people are staying to watch, like that kind of thing. So it's nice to, have these kind of opportunities to interact with you, and you didn't have to travel anywhere to do it. You get to do it in the comfort of your own home.
Especially because I believe that Laura is from the land down under, as well as her and Ben. So look at that. We've got 2 Aussies repping in the chat tonight. That's awesome. Jay says, good criticism. And a UK, an English woman, she says, good criticism requires some objective measures which are applied consistently. That's the reason the Critical Drinker is getting his voice noticed in Hollywood right now. I would also say Mahler is very, very, very good, to an autistic level of very good. Mahler can objectively criticize something to the same extent every single video or every single film or every single show. It's almost uncanny. Like, I'm pretty sure he has an X gene like an X-Men, but his mutant power is to objectively criticize something consistently. It is beyond me how he's able to do it, but that is why he is the long man.
I also think I noticed that recently Mahler and Drinker have kind of discovered him and had him on a few times, but I've been watching The Little Platoon for a while, and he has a forensic level. First of all, he's very posh, so you're immediately like, oh, this guy has a very posh British accent. He must know what he's talking about. But no, he breaks things down to like a forensic level, and just understands the cause and effect of character actions and motivations and how they affect story and plot and where they fall apart in all of these Hollywood movies. And I think a lot of it too has to do with reshoots. It has to do with, scripts being, whole sections being reworked, and it ends up being very inconsistent and very uneven. And these guys are all experts at spotting that. And as an editor, that's what I do as well, as I try to find holes in your story. and I hand off my stories to somebody else to try and find holes in it, because you get real close to the story that you're writing and you will miss things like that. Another guy that I think that you guys need to check out, and it's more comedic in his breakdowns, but if you don't already know him, I think you'll love him, is check out Ryan George and his pitch meeting channel. First of all, he does great skits on his own channel, which is just Ryan George. But I showed you that one the other day of the first guy to ever own a cat. We were talking about Gideon, and the reason that it came up is because I was like, I get to rub Gideon's belly until suddenly I don't anymore.
I don't anymore.
But he does these breakdowns in pitch meeting that are very funny, very comedic, and it makes you go, yeah, this story makes no sense. Like even if you enjoyed it, you're like, yeah, there are some real problems here. And it's like, these are the kind of guys that you need reviewing scripts in Hollywood. Unfortunately, I don't know if that will ever happen, because there's such ego involved in all these things that, people don't seem to be able to have somebody else look at their work and criticize it without, feeling like they're an enemy and they need to be called a neo-Nazi online.
Yeah, or that they're being like personally attacked, because the criticism isn't towards them as a person, it's just towards the work. But I think they have so much of themselves in that work, they then feel personally attacked. But
well, especially if they're just writing themselves as a self-insert, which a lot of these activist writers are, is because then you're attacking their identity when you're saying this doesn't work. So it all becomes like a very kind of like tangled way of doing business. And I think that that's why we're seeing stuff like Mario, which doesn't have any of that crap in it. Mario, not a story for the ages. If you guys went in expecting that you were going to get, some fantastic tale that like had all kinds of twists and turns and ins and outs, and you're not getting that with Mario. It's just a very simple kids film that's not filled with any agenda other than how many Mario Easter eggs can we cram in for you dorks. But it's done less in a member berries kind of way and in kind of like a clever, kind of way of doing it. So that movie's going to hit $1 billion, just as I predicted that it would. I just had a feeling. I was like, this is going to blow everything out of the water, as long as they didn't completely, fumble the ball. And I think that, hopefully Hollywood studios are taking notice. It'll take them years to course correct. They'll keep losing money until they do. But, I think that Universal's on the right track. And I think that video game adaptation movies are going to be the next thing that we see that like become very big for a while.
I was going to say Critical Drinker, and when he's done a couple of open bars, he's talked about how, I think he had Tom Connors on and Gary and Mahler, and they were discussing how video games might be the next franchise to be covered by movies or by Hollywood and entertainment and stuff, which, as Samuel Jackson would say from Jurassic Park, hold on to your butts, because that's going to be a hot one once they start coming for video games, because the video game industry, they are purists and they want that shit well done, just like the comic book industry, and they are not going to take shit if Hollywood starts adapting for modern audiences or whatever it is. So if they start coming for video games too, man, it's going to be a wild ride.
At least the Japanese companies won't. The Japanese companies will hold the line.
Yeah, there you go. I want to say to Ben, thank you for being here, dude. I know you already left, but thank you for being here. Thank you for your membership, your super chat, buying the hat. You're awesome, man, and I really appreciate it. And hey, enjoy the day tomorrow. Thank you for your service over in Australia, and I'm glad that you will be celebrating that tomorrow amongst your brothers and sisters at arms. So, Aaron just loves to take jabs at me for writing a self-insert into identities. Oh no.
I've never
identities. Is that it?
I've never read anything Josh has written aside from his super chats.
Me neither. If I see money on it, I read it, but if not, nah, that's fine. Real quick, Zaxx, yeah. The Spawn book I covered, that's the best example of what I've seen that you're describing. 100% this is everything. That Spawn comic, to me, was one of the most divisive things I have read in current comic in the current comic book industry. It was so malicious and closed-minded, and it just came across so poorly. And not only did I disagree with everything it was saying, it was just poorly written because it's Todd McFarlane and he doesn't know how to write. And it was poorly drawn, poorly written. It was just a bad book. So yeah, Zaxx, I completely agree. And I'm sorry that you had to remind me of that.
Well,
Rick Saylor.
Spawn. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah. Hi to Rick. Good to see you, dude. I haven't seen you here before. I love the freaking avatar. It looks dope. But yeah, thanks for being here, dude. Always glad to see new people in the chat. Go ahead, brother.
I would say the thing about Spawn is there's nothing about anything Todd McFarlane does that's subtle. Everything everything Todd does is in your face. God love him. I love Todd. I respect, I respect his place in the industry. He makes amazing toys that I love. And man, I finally got to meet him this past year at New York Comic Con, and he was great.
Nice.
He gave me a gunslinger Spawn, like on the horse, like this big,
yeah.
So it was, like I got nothing bad to say about Todd. But as a writer, and I think this is true of everybody. So this is not, picking on him, but as a writer, he needs an editor. Like I think we all do. We all need somebody to run our ideas through. I think when you get to a point where everybody around you is a yes man and nobody will tell you that this sucks, nobody's got the courage to tell you that, then you're in trouble. Because, all of our ideas are not gold, and sometimes they need refinement. So, I think if Todd had somebody who had the guts to like say like, hey, this isn't it. I think that he would actually learn and become a much better writer and like think of things that maybe he's not thinking of, as he just goes, 1990s, I'm Todd McFarlane, everything's balls to the wall, no subtlety, everything about Spawn, Venom with his teeth and Spawn with his cape and and even the stuff that he's written that I've really loved. Like I love that one issue with Billy Kincaid where from the early early days of Spawn, where Billy Kincaid is a child murdering ice cream vendor, and Spawn murders him, and at the end he's like hanging there, and he's got
in
like
the most horrific way.
Yeah, he's just impaled with popsicle sticks, and he's got a sign on him that says "Boys screamed and girls screamed, so I made him scream and scream and scream." And it's like there's no subtlety to that, and that works for that. But there's when you're dealing with things that have nuance, like race relations, like the Thin Blue Line, like the way that minorities feel that they're treated by police officers, and the way that politicians kind of like gear them towards seeing everything as adversarial. All the manipulations that go on. There's so much in there that you really need to be able to like subtly move through those themes and present them in an even-handed way.
Oh no. I think we might have lost Aaron.
Sorry, call came through. So for some reason.
I was just about to say, you were going off, because I was like, I agree with you on everything. I was about to say amen, because you were just on a roll. So yeah, finish up what you were about to say.
Yeah, so you just need to be able to deftly move through those themes and through those story beats to to come to a story that like resonates with people and doesn't just feel like pandering. Because what that story felt like was you just took the news and put it into a comic book, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, no, well said, man. I was just you ever heard the young kids, the Zoomers say, "Let them cook." I was letting you cook, man, because you were just, everything you were saying, you were articulating it perfectly, and I was like, wow, this is so well said, and it comes back down to that nuance, but hopefully you didn't miss an important call or anything. Sorry. This is on a lighter note. Mark McGrath says Josh looks good in anything. I actually agree, Mark, because Josh looks good in nothing, meaning when he's in his birthday suit, because Josh After Dark, his current Josh, only Josh, which is behind a paywall, it's pretty great. So, but yeah, Josh says completely agree. Every writer needs an editor, and yeah, I mean, I really, really enjoy Todd's art. I have never been a fan of the storylines per se, but him as a person, like him as a businessman, him as an artist, him as a pioneer for the industry, amazing, incredible talent, and someone who has paved the way for, like, he is, there's a reason why they call him the Todd Father, because he truly is one of the original comic, dare I say, celebrities, you know what I mean? Like, and he's done so well within Image and within, all his other properties. So I'm thankful for him. But man, that book was bad. And I will if he ever comes to a convention, I'm still getting all my stuff signed by him. I'm not swearing him off forever. But I do really enjoy him for what he's done with this industry. Silverlock, dude, $9.99. Thank you so much. I don't see a comment, but hey, I appreciate the $9.99, brother. That's so kind of you. And
Max,
thank you for being here.
Let me jump off for a second, and I'll be right back.
Sounds good, brother. I think Aaron is going to go take a call real quick. So let me see. Aaron, are you muted? Just to make sure. I just want to make sure that I'll go ahead and there we go. Hell, even if I don't have an editor, I have key people who aren't friends that will tell me something is great just because we're friends that I send projects to for feedback. Dude, that's key. Having someone that can look over your stuff and objectively criticize it and tell you what it is or what's going on with it. Shieldwall, what's up, dude? He says, what's up, everyone? Great to see you here, man. I don't know if I will see you in Vegas this year. I think you were saying you weren't going to be able to make it. But hey, I hope to see you either in Dallas or one of the other meetups. So took the news and put it into a comic book. 100%. 100%. And stop being popular. You're ruining the stream, says Josh. You are a sweet talker. You are a sweet talker. So let me go ahead and pull this video back up and let's see if we can get through a little bit more of this, shall we?
Into it today, my challenge to you is write one thing that you really like about a project that was critically panned. Maybe X-Men 3, maybe The Eternals, something that you just really enjoyed. We're sticking to a very positive approach today. Also, don't forget we got that 25,000 subscriber giveaway coming up.
So one of the things that I notice with people who are saying like, oh, you know, people are being too critical or there's too much criticism or criticism is toxic or, you know, there's toxic people that are criticizing this new thing, however you want to say it. I notice that a lot of those individuals and those channels will say like, so instead, let's just all be positive about everything. And there's something to be said about being positive, but there's also something to be said about being honest. And sometimes honesty isn't necessarily positivity. Sometimes honesty, which is the best thing, can be negative at times. So you know, I know what he's saying, and I respect the fact that he's saying, hey, let's all be positive. Let's all put something down in the comment section below that's positive because that's what I want to do here. I would totally respect that. But at the same time, I think there's something to be said about being honest with yourself and your criticism and how you view things, and also just being positive to be like, well, I don't want to be negative, but then you're being dishonest with yourself and with your criticism, and that to me is more harmful. But we're able to get everything.
Yeah, I'm glad glad I took that call because that was my friend saying, "Hey, do you want to juice it up? You want to drink? Want anything from Juice It Up?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do want that."
Hell yeah,
that would be cool and refreshing.
I'm glad you took that too because that sounds fantastic. So.
But
there you go.
To your point about what you were saying here is like, I'll just add on. I also am generally suspicious of anybody who comes on and is like, hey, we should be more positive, guys. You know, there's a level of suspicion that I have for that because a lot of the people that I see doing that are people that are trying to get in. You know, they're trying to show how positive they are, you know, so that they can get in and they can get ensconced and they can, you know, be part of these conversations and part of Marvel or part of DC. You know, they want to get in somehow. They want to have some influence, or they want free books to review. You know, these are the kind of things that go on. Is, you know, there's a lot of pay to play. So I tend to find people that are critical, but can admit when something is good. I find them more trustworthy than the people who are like, we need to pump everything up and be positive. I don't buy that. Criticism is healthy. Criticism helps you improve. Criticism is good for writers who have the skin to be able to look at their work and look at themselves and ingest some of those things and kind of examine it and go, yeah, maybe I could have done that better. And then they learn for the next time something, you know, a new way to do things. I think that that's very important. If we just all clap like trained seals and say that everything is good, like, you know, you have one of those channels where, you know, every book is a 9, no matter what it is, you know, or a 9 or a 10, you know, this was great.
Just wait. He ranks a movie an 8 or a 9. A 9, which by the way, a 9 to me is a near perfect film. It's like a 9.8 in a graded comic. Giving a film a 9 or a comic a 9 means that there is almost nothing wrong with it, except for maybe one nitpick or maybe one thing that you thought might have been off. A 9 is very high, and just wait till you get
wait till I find out what film it
gives
is. Let me tell you. I'll give you some 9s, in my opinion. Ghostbusters, the original. There's no fat on that movie. Every scene informs
streamlined, perfect.
Yeah, just perfection. So whoever edited that, fantastic. Goodfellas, a 9. You know, there's very few that hit like that level. So I'll be interested to see what his take is.
I would say the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I would say the Lord of the Rings trilogy is a 9. I would say that Gladiator is an 8 or a 9. I think, man, it's so tough. I'm biased on Gladiator, so I don't know if I could objectively give it a 9. But to me, it's a 9 because I feel such a deep connection with that film, and because I think it's just so well done for its time.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That's a 10. That's a 10. That's a straight up 10. Yeah.
I think that might be my favorite movie of all time.
It is. It's just perfect. It really is perfect. Josh is upset at me that I didn't read this comment to you, but he says, "Stop being popular, Aaron. You're ruining the stream."
Am I popular? I have no idea. I know
you keep getting calls. Yeah.
I know that Wes gets. Oh yeah, you know, I'm popular in real life, not on the stream. On the stream, it's all about Max.
No. I'm not getting calls on my stream though. That's the difference. Dude, we have the Salty Traveling Sea here in the chat. What is going on, dude? I miss you. I hope you're doing well. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you soon, or at least streaming with you soon. He says, anyone remember all the Tolkien fan sites channels that were positive for Amazon and got to go on all the expenses paid trip to be NDA'd to be positive about the Rings of Power? 100%, dude. And there's a perfect example of when positivity for the sake of access or positivity for the sake of positivity is not honesty, and that's my fear. To keep everyone accountable, you have to bring that type of critical and honest look at and non-biased look at how you're viewing this stuff. Salty, love you, dude. Miss you. I hope you're doing great. Always good to see you in the chat, and thank you for being here, man. Thank you for your takes.
Remember when none of the people who were super fans of Lord of the Rings and were part of that Amazon roundtable going like, my girl Galadriel, and they were doing that stuff. Like none of those people, could you go through their Twitter and find anything that they'd ever said about Lord of the Rings? And even once it came out, they didn't really talk about it. Remember that?
So freaking funny. She made Galadriel the 4-syllable name. She made it like a 10-syllable name. She was like Galadriel. It was so awful and cringe and just terrible.
But then she started cabbage patching, and you were like, oh, this seems genuine.
Yes, there was no script involved. I love my girl Galadriel. She is the bestest of them all.
It's just like that guy that was on YouTube the other day talking about how Wizards of the Coast, I think it was, you talked about it, the card with Aragorn. They made Aragorn black, and he's like, finally I can see myself in Lord of the Rings. And you were like, you've never tweeted about Lord of the Rings ever,
never tweet about it. Yeah. And if you claim to be such a big fan, how is it that only now you're able to see yourself? Like, that makes no comprehensible sense whatsoever.
You did a great breakdown of that. Like I loved your breakdown of that, and I think that you should throw the link in the chat.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I don't have the link on me, but I can definitely find it. I think honestly, Richard's take on it was even better than mine, because mine wasn't honestly. Even when I look back at that video, I'm like, it's okay. It's not the best I've done, but I really, really enjoyed Richard's take on that. Yeah, he total fraud, dude. Total fraud.
Here's the thing.
Super fans.
I use this example a lot. I never really connected with Miles Morales in the comic books. Like I enjoyed Bendis's run on, with Miles. Like I liked it. but I never really connected with him as a character the way that, like, say I did with Peter Parker. And you go, oh yeah, because Peter Parker's a white guy. That doesn't mean anything to me, because when I saw Into the Spider-Verse, that first one, the second one obviously is coming out, and and there's some things about that one, but like when I saw the first one, I was like, I don't know what it's like to be a teenage black kid, but man, did I identify with Miles in that movie, because it wasn't about the fact that, Miles comes from a mixed race family, and there's some things that go along with that culturally, and some pressures and things like that, but they made Miles a human being. Like, I understood what it's like to be a kid who's trying to figure out, where his place in the world is. And then on top of it, you've got all these, additional responsibilities that are thrust upon him. And that was very Peter Parker. That's why I identified with Peter Parker, is because, I knew what it was like to kind of be like an outcast kid, because of my interests and the things that I liked. And then, like, to have responsibilities that you had to live up to, your family and things like that, and have all these additional pressures. So you could identify with that. And they did a really good job in the movie of doing that with Miles. I'm like, so even though I'm not black and from Brooklyn, I could identify with his struggle. I could identify with his hopes, his dreams, the fact that he suffered a loss, the fact that he found out something about a family member that broke his heart. Then he had to, of course, the tragic death that all, it seems to be like a theme with superheroes. I think Joker does it in the Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. I find an element of tragedy adds resonance to a hero's journey. It's like that sort of thing. They gave him that. And yeah, all those things were present in the comic book, but they just did it in a way that I felt. And so I came to really like Miles, at least in the Spider-Verse movies, as a character.
Me too, man. And I still hold to this day that that's one of the best Spider portrayals or Spider-Man like movies that I've really enjoyed in the previous years, because they made him human. They didn't make him just a black teenager. They made him a human, and humans all have a commonality, and that's our life, our struggles, or the things that how we interact with each other. Like, and that's what they did so well. And even Stan Lee was in that film, and I think he even says something like, Miles is like trying to buy the mask, and he's like, will it fit? And he goes, the mask always fits, or something like that. And I was like, yes, like that's what Stan would say. And it is, we're all Spider-Man, but we're not, but he represents us all. But it was very well done. And like you said, I'm not a black kid from Brooklyn, but I was able to understand what he was going through, or at least come to an understanding, because they made him human and not a divisive ideological plot point.
Isn't it funny that movie would be problematic now if it was released? Because his uncle tells him, put your hand on her shoulder and say what's up. It's like, oh, did you just have Miles touch her without consent? And there'd be a million like screechy Mary Sue articles about it.
Oh boy.
Like, Miles is a predator, and that's not okay.
And or no, it always has to end with, and that's a good thing. So it would have to be something stupid, and that's a good thing.
Oh, these people can never be replaced by ChatGPT, right?
Never.
It already
Omega
feels like
Man,
the articles are generated that way.
Well, the comics sure sound like them. I love this comment. This is hilarious. I personally think Aragorn has the exaggerated swagger of a black teenager.
You just called me Aragorn. You just read it as Aragorn instead of Aaron. I will take that.
Oh, sorry. I said, I thought he was talking about, because I posted the Aragorn video. But I too think that you have an exaggerated swagger of a black teenager.
I've got black friends. They're teaching me the ways.
There you go. Yeah, they made him a black Peter Parker. Essentially, it was close to the comic story, but it was slicker and cooler. Now they're doing a sequel, and it looks terrible.
Yeah, they're inserting some things. I think it's weird to put a BLM flag on his backpack when his dad's a cop. And especially now, after like the BLM movement has been proven to pretty much be a long con to enrich the founders, so that they can buy mansions and big houses, and it hasn't really helped the community at all. It's just turned out to be another big grift. So I think that's unfortunate. And of course, then they've got the Protect Trans Kids flag up in the for the preview, and that set people off. So I think that they're doing a lot of messaging in the backgrounds there that I don't think parents are going to be too happy with. And we've seen how that's kind of like hurt Disney, and then Universal is behind the curtain with Mario going, and I'm reaping all the benefits, with the billion that's going to hit this week. So
Mr. Burns just saying, excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry. I just realized we've only gotten through 40 seconds of this video, not including the intro that might have been a second or two. I forget, but let's see if we can continue into
Let's
this.
marathon
because
it. Come on, we can do it.
Yeah, let's marathon, because I do think he has some good stuff, and I don't dislike this guy or anything, but there were some points I wanted to talk about.
You're going to win a slab and a raw copy of Son of the Demon. Phase 3 ended, and a lot of people felt like it was a peak. You had Infinity War, you had Endgame, a lot of the movies coming around at that pocket of time made everybody happy. Now we've got things coming out left and right, and some things I think are quite good, but still are getting panned on Instagram and YouTube. And I do actually believe there has been a slight dip in quality. I thought this
slight.
For some people, there may be slight, but at least he's recognizing, hey, there's, a slight drop in quality that he believes as well. And I think he also said, there are some things that he likes, but there's other things he doesn't. Like, he'll say a little bit later, he goes, hey, I was one of the people who really hated the Star Wars sequel trilogy when it came out. And I was like, oh, good. Thank you for acknowledging that, But yeah, slight.
I was saying that, he liked WandaVision. WandaVision was not great, but it was probably the best of the TV offerings.
Here we go. I knew you were going to say something like this, Josh. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, actively shit on it just to shit on it.
No, I liked it all until the big CGI fight in the end, and then taking a plot mystery to set up a boner joke. Those are the two things that I didn't think were particularly good. And the fact that Doctor Strange didn't show up, because in this universe, if this was happening, he most certainly should. So again, that's where the logics of a story were thrown out for activism, which was well, we can't have a white man come in, and be part of the solution. So that's I disagree with all that. But as far as building the mystery of what's going on and things like that, and kind of the way that they paced it out, I did like a lot of that.
Yeah. That article that talked about how, I forget who it was. I think it was Feige who was saying, we can't have Doctor Strange in this show because we don't want a straight white male to come and save our female character or something like that. It was nonsense. But yeah, that's beside the point. That's a whole other video.
You're breaking the logic of the universe for political points.
There you go. Thank you.
She-Hulk as a whole was a little bit mediocre. I thought Falcon and
a little bit mediocre.
That was a steaming garbage fire.
That was. What were Feige's words then? It was something to that effect, though, right, Josh? Yeah, I definitely didn't. I'm paraphrasing heavily, but the sentiment was that he didn't want Doctor Strange because he's white and he's male. That's what I got from reading the article. But yeah, like I said, I could have paraphrased.
And unclear about what it wanted to do. But to say that I wish they never happened is ridiculous. People love those shows, and I'm glad that they do. Let's rewind to 2008 when you got Iron Man coming out shortly after you had Captain America, Iron Man 2, you had the first Thor. Those movies were so exciting that they were even being made, that the faults that those movies had, we were happily overlooking, because you know what? They just made...
People were not overlooking it. Iron Man 2 got pilloried. People were like, well, that wasn't very good, was it? And a lot of people thought that Captain America was boring. I'm not one of them. I really liked it. I thought it had a Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of feel to it, with all the World War II stuff. And I really kind of liked the tone that it took. It took more of an old-timey tone, I think. There were times that when they would put in it felt like those old newsreels, kind of that pro-America, boys across the pond. They did a lot of kind of that. There was a lot of things that gave it that kind of feel that I really enjoyed. But I remember people being critical of that. I remember people being critical of Thor. I remember people saying that Iron Man 2 was awful. These were all conversations that had Thor: The Dark World. People did not like that at all. People nope. Complained about Incredible Hulk being kind of stupid. These guys.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say Iron Man 3, to this day, I still cannot go back and watch that film. I despise Iron Man 3. I think it's boring and stupid and has no place. I just think it's a bad film.
You didn't like 11 minutes of Iron Man, the movie?
Yeah. Okay, he wanted to stand on its own, and he felt that it didn't feel right to have Strange swoop in the final 20 minutes of the series when he hadn't been there leading up to it. Okay.
Well, you
I
could have had
mean,
him lead up to it. There you go.
that's the thing. It's like they're keeping him out of a series because they're afraid it's going to take away from Wanda, I guess, which I can
Because
see,
Wanda's a female lead. That's why. If we were having this conversation and it was a white male character, if it was Bucky's show and then he was involved with the occult and then Doctor Strange came in, that conversation would have never happened.
Yeah.
So it does spring out of politics, whether he came out and said it, right out of the gate or not, I think. Whether he actually used those words, I think the sentiment's there. And I think it's because of the people that are in his ear. Victoria Alonso was probably in there. Like, yeah, Regular Man, the movie.
I like this, Drew. Regular Man, the movie.
There's still a lot of Iron Man 3 that I like. Like, I do think there is. If it had been a show, you could have gotten away with a couple episodes where he wasn't Iron Man, where he was without the armor, and we were just seeing Tony Stark having to be inventive with what he had around him. But in a movie that's called Iron Man, yeah, it's not satisfying. Fortunately, that movie still had the charm of Robert Downey Jr. to fall back on, and he is absolutely charming in that. And I love his interaction with the kid, especially when he tells the kid, the kid's trying to get him to give him a ride, and he's like, I'm cold, and he's like, I knew that because you're a part of me, as he drives off and leaves the kid. I thought that was hilarious. There's good moments in there, and of course, Rebecca Hall, who I am completely in love with. So.
True. Yeah. So in terms of films that weren't being criticized, because we were just happy to get a super, and we'll get into this because he kind of talks about this later in the YouTube video, but there's this thought process of, because it's a superhero movie, we should just be excited, guys. We've never seen a superhero movie like this before, so just be excited because isn't this great? And I hate that concept. So I know
it's okay that Star Wars is dumb because it's a movie about space wizards for kids.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, we'll get into it. I don't want to jump the shark too early, and I don't. Yeah, but I'll continue playing the video.
Made a big screen Captain America movie and Thor, and this is amazing. And now we've got an Avengers movie coming out. This is crazy. Everybody was happy, even though I think arguably a lot of the movies got a lot better than that phase one. Over the last decade, we've had so many good things. Game of Thrones, we had.
Yes, I believe he just said Black Panther was better than Iron Man and Captain America and Thor and phase one, but I will choose to ignore that for the sake of time.
He has to say that.
Yes.
And by the way, don't say that Game of Thrones was great and then show a scene from season 8. Like, you got to go back earlier before you can, if you're going to make that claim.
Yeah.
He's coming out and all this crazy geek culture, huge moments. And yet so many people are so unhappy. People are at the point where they're nitpicking everything left and right. I think maybe
nitpicking is a common excuse that I think that people go to say, oh, you're just nitpicking. The overall quality has gone down. That is not a nitpick. That is a overall quality. That is like legitimate. That is a larger issue. That is not nitpicking.
Your characters are doing things that are inconsistent with their character motivations. Your script is barely holding together. The plot, if any, like your character's plans are so outlandish that if anything didn't go right, if any one little thing didn't go right, none of this would happen. Your story is not constructed by the character does this, thus this happens, which leads to this. Your story is constructed by set piece. How do we connect this set piece to this set piece, even though there's no reason for the character to do this? That's not nitpicking. That is fundamental flaws in the way that you're presenting a story.
Beautiful. Thank you for articulating that. It seems like it's always very much so. We need the character to be here at the end of the film. How do we get him from A, B, C, D, and then just plot contrivance to plot contrivance to plot contrivance on how to. We want to show a scene where Captain Marvel beats up a man. How do we do that? Fundamentally, you can just change.
We've got the characters. The characters have to go to the starship and they discover that Chewbacca's alive because Rey decides for no reason, and she discovers like a trinket because for no reason she decides that she needs to go get Chewie's bowcaster. Hey, how did they get on the Star Destroyer? We'll just have somebody give them a magic coin. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Just keep the movie going. Just keep, yeah.
Here's the medallion from an admiral's hat, and you can get onto any ship. What kind of security is that? It's like, well, why isn't the fleet taken off? Why can't the fleet just take off, as they're being attacked and go attack the galaxy? Because they don't know how to fly up. There's only one ship that has a radar dish that tells them how to fly up. It's like, you guys don't have windows? You can't like look out and go, up is that way. Like, you don't have sensors. Yeah. You have hyperspace travel, but you can't tell, your ships can't tell which way is up from the planet's surface.
So goofy.
Morons.
Numb to the fact that all these superhero movies come out, and maybe through each project, our standards get a little bit raised, and we expect maybe a little bit more out of each one.
So he's got the arrow pointing to like this is a big point. So I want to play this again so that he can
you can't
really
yourself. Cook. You can't miss yourself. It takes somebody else to come in and
guys, what I'm saying.
You don't get to do that yourself. It's like giving yourself your own nickname, like George on Seinfeld. I'm going to be T-Bone, like it does not work. You're not allowed to do it.
You guys can call me T-Bone. I'm now Beastly Priestly or Max the Axe. Yeah.
These come out, and maybe through each project, our standards get a little bit raised, and we expect maybe a little bit more out of each one. You know what?
Our standards get raised, and we expect a little bit more from each one. I don't think that's toxic criticism or being too criticizing something too harshly. I think that's expecting a standard of something, and when something doesn't meet that standard, we can effectively criticize it. Like if you're getting a product and then all of a sudden the product is shit and someone just goes, well, just be thankful that you're getting the product anyway. No, fuck that. I'm sorry. But like if I'm, if I have a soda or something and I've been drinking a soda for 10 years and then all of a sudden it tastes like sewage water and I go, wait a second, this isn't to the standard of what you have provided, by the way, which the Marvel and DC, or well, not DC, sorry, excuse me, Marvel has produced a standard. And then when they give me something substandard to that and I criticize them for that, and they go, well, you're just being toxic or you're just being too harsh. You're the one who gave us a standard of excellence. Is that fair for me to say that, like, that's fair for me to think that we would continue to get a good standard? I mean, that's customer service, right?
You still expect me to pay $15 to go see this. Therefore, since you expect that consistent commitment from me, I expect a consistent commitment from you to quality, to the quality of the film. It's not rocket science. Like it's really easy to figure out. It's like, you guys have set a bar of telling good stories and telling stories that were agenda free. Now you're shifting on it and you're saying we're going to tell agenda filled stories, because the message is important. As opposed before, your goal was just to entertain me and to get my money. Now it's to expect me to pay for your writer's therapy. I'm not going to do that. Like, you don't have a right to that. You don't have a right to my consistent money when you're not giving me consistent quality.
Yeah. Josh, I think what you're saying here, brother, is accurate. Like, we're getting extremes on both sides, right? And so we just kind of have to find the middle ground of being like, but the thing is, the middle ground will never sell. Like, I could put a middle ground type of video out and that will never get traction on YouTube or on Twitter, even though those are the ones that should be heard, because that's honestly, like, if you look at a normal, like, standard distribution of statistics, statistically speaking, 90% of people, or like 80% of people or something, will fall under that large bell curve of people who are just like, yeah, it was okay. But then on both extremes, you have the 1 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. So we definitely do have to find a middle. And I think that's what this guy is trying to kind of get to, but I don't know if he's effectively articulating those points well enough for me to get there with him. If that
the algorithm doesn't allow for middle ground. The algorithm is
100%.
It's why I could never do a trailer reaction, series of videos, because it would just be me watching. You would just watch me watch the trailer, and then I would turn to look at the camera and go like, well, that was pretty good. Or I'd be like, oh, I'm interested in that, or I'd be like, man, that looked like crap. That would be it. But to do a trailer reaction, you have to be over the top. You either have to hate it and just be like, that's the worst thing ever. I can't believe it. This is woke. Blah 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 blah. Or you've got to be like, oh my god, it's that Lockjaw. I love Lockjaw. So many Boba Fetts.
So many Boba Fetts.
ATSD. I saw the thing and I clapped when I saw it. You've either got to be like, you've got to be completely fake. Because that's what the algorithm demands.
It's totally a persona and a facade, right? So, but I like this arrow. Maybe I should start doing that for my videos.
I was gonna start doing it as I talk. When I'm on a roll, I'm gonna be like,
yeah. Well, I'll do it for you. Sometimes when you really are like cooking, I'm just like, whatever he's saying, like, yes.
Get a big foam finger and just bring it in.
Look at the movies we had back in the day. Look at Ghost Rider. Look at the original Ben Affleck Daredevil. We've come a long way, and the movies that we make fun of now, I think, are notably higher quality than some of the ones we used to have. But
higher
people
quality.
Eviscerated Daredevil. People eviscerated Ghost Rider.
And I would watch Daredevil 100 times than have to watch Mother of Madness once. Quality determined by what aspect? The quality of CGI, the quality of storytelling, the quality of like the actual art of like the film itself, of directing, cinematography, score. Like it was so, when he said quality, like I was just like, the fuck, that's such an umbrella term of just quality. It didn't really give me a sense of, okay, but what specifically are we looking at? Like, because if you could say, oh, the films have just they're better looking, I would disagree with that, because the volume looks fucking terrible. Or if you said like, oh, the quality of the storytelling, again, I would disagree with that. So I think on the term like quality, I don't know, it gets real messy.
Yeah, do I think Multiverse of Madness is a more quality film than Ben Affleck's Daredevil? No. Do I think that Ant-Man 3 is a better quality film than Daredevil? No. I don't. I think they're probably Josh should take Multiverse of Madness over Daredevil. Everybody tells me the director's cut of Daredevil is amazing. I don't know.
Jared knows what's up. Good to see you, Jared, and thanks for being here, brother. I miss you, man. Hope you're doing well. But Josh, I can't watch the scene where they do my boy dirty like that, Mr. Fantastic. I would, and hey, playground scene. What about it? Would you rather watch the playground scene, or would you rather watch Reed Richards get turned into fucking spaghetti? Come on. There's no argument there.
Would I rather watch the playground scene, or would I rather watch him get turned to spaghetti while Maria Rambeau and Captain Carter just stand there and then like look at each other like, and the consistencies, like, okay, yeah, they fight on a playground, but you know what? Their power levels are consistent. A character who has the power of, the ability to punch through starships doesn't get killed by a falling statue. The power levels are so
very
ridiculous.
Good point.
The setup to, he can kill you with one whisper from his mouth. I said just so she could say what mouth. Like, it's like that. There's so much ham-handedness there and so much first draft. Yeah, that playground scene ain't great, but at least it feels like they put some work into it. The choreography alone, it doesn't feel like any work went into like several scenes in Multiverse of Madness.
It's
the memory as
hell.
I will. You know what? Yeah. Give me the playground over the memory sidewalk. Thank you. He's good. Great minds think alike.
Any day. Mike has bad knees. We resonate with your take, and we also resonate with your name, because Aaron and I both have very bad knees as well. So
I have one bad knee. One is great.
Oh, good. Okay. Dude, Colin Farrell, his charm alone will keep me watching through that movie the whole time. Even when he's caressing his scar on his forehead, I'm here for it, man.
If you would have got the costume, my big disappointment in Daredevil is where he says to Kingpin, I want a costume. And then when he shows up later, he doesn't have it. Like they pulled the trigger on it. Like, I was like, that was a perfect way. When people that was the era when people were still kind of embarrassed about the fact that they're making a superhero movie and the costumes and everything like that. But the fact that the psychopath was like, I want a costume like he has, that was perfect motivation. That would have worked.
Yeah. Love it. We are arguing over which one is more shit, but hey, you know what? That's what nerds do, right? That's exactly what we're here to do. So I love it. But hey, that's why we love you, Josh. You can have your takes, and I won't bash you for it because I understand what the film could have been, and I have also heard how you enjoy the film, and so I'm very grateful for that. But
Even though
for
you
me,
even though you
yeah.
enjoyed Black Panther, World of Wakanda.
Black
Wakanda forever.
Panther. It's her story.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's
More people are complaining. And I think part of that is because it's fun to complain. Even I admit it. We are human, and we've had social media for quite some time now. People love to hop on the internet and really just ruin people's.
So yeah, this is totally true. Like we were saying kind of much earlier in the video, there are people who go on here and just troll and you know, they will go great lengths to just get their opinion across. Like I read this comment, we don't have to read it, but it is nonsensical. It is absolutely retarded. And even he was like, what? Like even on his like he responded back and was like, dude, what? It's spouting talking points, but not actually having a through line or not actually making sense.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, there are people who do that, but that is not the majority. And so, yeah.
Well, you know what's more fun than complaining? You know, it's more fun than complaining is when we all get together and we all love something and we talked about all the things that we loved about it. Like if you and Josh and I were sitting around and we were talking about a movie, we're like, and then this, remember when this happened? Like that's way more fun than bitching about something, you know? But unfortunately, the things that we can do that about are very few and far between right now in entertainment.
Yeah. And I mean, look, I love me some Evanescence, dude. I will die on that hill.
Even the guy, the really sleepy guy that can't wake up. He just keeps like throwing that out there in the song. Can't wake up.
Save me. Yeah. But no, I love Amy Lee, I think is her name. Amy Lee and Evanescence are just peak Marvel, as another video that we've seen on here would say before. But yeah, cool. we'll very cool. We'll keep going.
Is unfortunately people put a lot of work into these movies, and you know, if you don't like something, it's really easy to go ahead and just say something terrible about it.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm just, of course, everyone who comments looks like this, right? Yeah. Okay.
I'm so tired. I'm so tired of the argument that just because a lot of people worked hard on it, that it's good, or that we shouldn't be able to criticize it. A lot of people work really hard on a lot of things. You know, it doesn't mean that they are quality. It doesn't mean that their hearts were in the right place. It doesn't mean that they had a good idea or a good vision for it. I'm tired of that kind of being like a go-to. Like, well, come on, a lot of people worked hard on this. Awesome, they got paid to do it. They're fine.
Yeah, the argument of, well, they worked hard. People have been working hard on stuff their entire life. There have been projects that I have worked hard on that have gotten completely steamrolled by, you know, someone higher up above me that have said, this is garbage, just throw it out, scrap it out, and we're getting someone else to do it because that was so awful. Sometimes that happens, and I put my heart and soul into that project. You know what I mean? Like, just because something is worked on, you know, passionately or with care and a lot of effort and time doesn't mean it's good. So yeah, cook and work hard on a dish that tastes like crap. There you go.
Is that a Norm McDonald picture?
I think it's just Andy. Yeah. I think it's just Andy himself.
I just got a quick glimpse of it, and I was like, it just kind of looked like Norm out of my peripheral.
You're thinking about how much fun it would be to watch Norm McDonald right now instead of this. Yeah.
I have absolutely done it myself. I'm sure after this video airs, I will find some deep opinion about really disliking something, and I'll probably express it. I don't like Thing and Wayne. Into the Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie ever made. The final act of Shang-Chi was a massive letdown and CGI nightmare. Captain Marvel is the worst MCU movie. Spider-Man Miles Morales for the PlayStation 5 is boring, predictable, and felt like a DLC to the first game. The most disappointing movie I've seen in my entire life has to go to The Last Jedi. Where does that come from?
So, like, those were just some takes that he's had, and I agree.
He got me back. He got me back.
See, that's what I'm saying. Once he brought on The Last Jedi, I was like, there we go. See, I knew we had people that, you know.
That went really quick, but I think I might have agreed with him on everything in that quick montage.
I think almost everything Yeah, the only thing that I would say maybe Sam Raimi's Spider-Man or Spider-Man 2 was better than Into the Spider-Verse. But I think he said Into the Spider-Verse was the best Spider-Man movie. So I'm a little shaky on that, but I agree with, Captain Marvel may be the worst one until Thor: Love and Thunder. So, but for the most part, I think
Thor:
his
Love and Thunder
sentiment.
is much, much worse. I mean, Captain Marvel is a very mediocre movie. It's a very like paint by numbers mediocre movie. I think the biggest narrative problem for it is the same one that Green Lantern had, which is when you front load the audience with all the information and we already know everything about her, and then we have to follow to wait for her to catch up. It just makes your movie very uninteresting. And then of course, they didn't really like the director didn't seem to really know how to get like a performance out of her that was likable, or consistent. There's just a lot of problems there, and like I said on the last one we did, I don't have the same vitriol for Brie Larson that everybody else does. She's fine. Like I think in Scott Pilgrim she's legitimately great. I think that in the room she was excellent. But those are probably great directors getting a great performance out of her.
Yeah, no world building as well, and definitely got to keep her in some boots or no sandals for that.
Did she break some toes at one point?
I didn't used to have that. It's social media, man. We're all apparently critics. People go to school for and learn about journalism in order to become movie critics, but everybody's a critic these days. So one of my challenges going forward is I want to stay more grounded. I want to watch things as they are, formulate my own opinions, and if I don't like it, whatever. I don't like it, but I don't want to pan it anymore. I want to get back to that sort of childlike state of just shock and awe that a project like that was even made in the first place. It was more fun then, believe me. When we were able to suspend our disbelief about so many things, we were just allowing ourselves to simply just enjoy it as it is. Now everything's got...
So this is kind of where we get into that thing that I was talking to you about the other night, which is like, just enjoy the slop, you pig. You know what I mean? Just consume product and just be happy that you're getting something at all, right?
I don't have to be excited that we're getting a product that we already have 500 of. Like the childlike wonder of, oh, I can't believe we're getting this is gone when we have 500 of it. It's like I was telling you, I was in the bookstore the other day. Well, not the bookstore. I was in Target, and I was walking through their book section, and the whole aisle, like I stopped and I was like, is that just like one big book series? That's like, and I looked and it was all different book series by different book authors, all this young adult stuff. But the whole, and I don't know if it was themed that way by Target or it's just that's what's out there now. But every single book was like a Harry Potter style magical book with a female black lead on the cover. Every single one, and there were like at least 8. And
nice.
one had like a Harry Potter wizard boy that was black. So there was like one man. But like the rest were all like, teenage girls. And I get it. That's who YA is written for. But like, I just had this thought where I was like, when your genre is so diverse that every book looks the same, like I could switch those covers and it probably wouldn't matter. It just kind of was like, oh, they're all about wizards and they're all teenage black girls in the lead. And I didn't do any like, flipping the book over to see, if the author was black or if it was just like, white people, working out their guilt, or just because that's what sells right now. But yeah, it was like really interesting to me. And that's the thing with these movies is Marvel movies have become very rote. The formula is very entrenched. They even mock it on that god awful She-Hulk show. But like the thing that they fail to do is make the show good so that when they mock it, it's actually meta and funny. It's like when you're pointing out how terrible your product is, that's not an excuse for it being terrible. That doesn't make us go, oh, it must be good because they recognize that it's terrible. It was intentionally terrible, so that makes it good. That's not how it works.
No. I agree with one of these bands, Mike. Mike has bad news. I agree with one of these. One of them is S tier. I will let you decide which one.
It's Nickelback, isn't
it? Hey, Snowdub, good to see you. It is not, which leaves only one other option, but I do believe that Evanescence truly is S tier. I have listened to all their albums, not just the Daredevil album. I've listened to all of them, and I really do think that they are pretty prime. But
so by process of elimination, and you saying it's not Nickelback, I'm going to guess that it's Nickelback.
Well, if you look at this photograph, and every time it really... No, I'm gonna...
My favorite thing about that was when it got taken down really quickly because that was when Twitter was super censorious. But when they had the clip of Joe Biden saying like, "I don't know my son Hunter's business associates," and then they cut to like Chad Kroeger holding the photo. They put the photo in, and it's Biden playing golf with Hunter and the Ukrainian oil executives.
That's
it's like,
right.
look at this
Yeah.
photograph. That's just, what a great meme. Like, what a great meme for like whatever. Whenever you have somebody like outright lie and then you catch them with a photo, like they should just be doing that. You could breathe new life into Nickelback.
Wow, we're getting to really know you, Josh. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever is your was it Wakanda? Yeah, it was Wakanda Forever.
Mm-hmm.
Is your favorite MCU film of all time. Nickelback is your favorite band of all time. Really getting to know the most about Josh.
His favorite band of all time. He says it's got one of his favorite rock songs.
I hear that as his favorite band of all time, and he's not joking.
What did Nickelback do to anybody? Come on.
that's they became a meme, and then it just from there was no holds bar, and
it became fashionable to hate on them.
It really did. And I think that's what this guy's arguing, is that it's like fashionable to hate Marvel right now. But I agree with this couch, is that he says, to me, it sounds like this guy knows the movies are bad and he can't argue it. So he's taking the very easy way out and not critiquing it. That's the core of this, right? Once people start to realize, oh shit, these movies aren't that good, or I'm not enjoying the MCU as much as I did, or wow, I can find a lot of flaws within these things, but I don't know how to argue that, or I don't know how to articulate that and criticize it for what it is, or I don't want to be seen as that guy or on that side of the aisle. They just begin to say, you know what, I'm just going to start being positive, or I'm just going to start liking everything and just childlike wonder, right? Because just consume and just enjoy everything, guys, because superheroes are great. And we just love superheroes. And I think that's so disingenuous and just cowardly to have this kind of, thought process of, I see that the movies are bad. I can tell that they're bad, and without actually criticizing them, because I'm so afraid of being labeled as the other guy, I'm just gonna be disingenuous and completely fuck off, So the couch, I agree with you here very, very much so on this.
Couch just summed it up. We don't even need to talk about it anymore. He just nailed it.
I know.
And now, I got no wind in my sails anymore. I'm like, that was pretty much.
Well, all right, we're done here. Thanks, Scott. No,
good night, everybody.
Got to end on a high note, and so with that being said,
speaking of ending on a high note, Jason Alexander not ending on a high note, leaving Twitter and then because he lost his blue check mark, and then coming back and going, my blue check mark's back. What's going on? It's like just stop being a drama queen. Just go.
The blue check mark, man. I just Jay says the problem with the enjoy the slop is the marketing for the slop drowns out the good stuff and makes it hard for good movies to get a release. Example, Aaron Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, I didn't even remember. Yeah, thank you for reminding me about The Covenant, Jay.
You want to go check that out, Max? I haven't seen it yet, and I really want to see it.
Yeah, dude, let's do it. I haven't even seen John Wick, but I won't make you watch that again because I know you didn't like the last act. So
no, the last act I hated.
So we'll watch that. We'll go see Covenant. Also, Miyazaki is going to be playing. There's a movie I think next month that we should go see. Hey, I do love Lizzie McGuire. She is the voice of my time. Okay, she is the voice of all young little boys who had confused feelings when watching her on TV.
And she's one of the few the young Disney stars that didn't go completely crazy, right?
Oh my God, she's a traditional wife, dude. She looks amazing, and she has kids and a nice family, and she looks great and is doing really well. So
she got out of Hollywood alive. God bless her.
God bless her soul. I agree. You can still critique something and be respectful, Aaron. Very respectfully, detailed exactly what he didn't like about Wakanda Forever, and thought good review. You said this is why I don't. Yes.
Josh and I don't agree. Josh really enjoyed Wakanda Forever. I liked aspects of it, but there were things that I really didn't like. And it's like, and we're fine. We're still friends. We haven't like written each other off. You know,
Yeah.
you can disagree about pop culture and not hate the other person. It's amazing when you try.
Right? Imagine that.
It's got to have such a deep meaning, or the tone's too dark, or the tone's too funny, or whatever. We can pick apart anything and everything. I'm going to give you a perfect example. Thor 2. A lot of people don't like that one. I was still in that state of, wow, it wasn't amazing, but I'm glad I watched it. Hey, we got Malekith on the screen. That's pretty cool. I just took its faults. I understood them, and I moved on.
What's up?
We didn't get Malekith on the screen. We got Malekith in name only.
Yeah, that's true. Like a lot of different characters that we
and even Christopher, just like we got Taskmaster in name only in Black Widow, and we got Thor in name only in Love and Thunder, and we got Marvel and well, we got modern Marvel in Thor: Love and Thunder. We got like 2023 Marvel.
Just an empty shell of a once living, breathing thing.
Now I've hardened to the movie, and I think it's maybe worse than it is. I rewatched it, and I was finally able to get myself back into that, enjoying it as it was, because I let go of all that, here's what everyone else says about it, so this is what you need to think about it. Once you can get rid of that, you can really enjoy stuff raw and as it was intended. I saw the new Ant-Man movie, which was, if you don't know...
Here we go. Get ready. Like, chat, hold on to your horses for this one. This is good.
Hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts.
At like 40, 50, sometimes 60% ratings on a lot of the review sites. I saw it with my fiance and a friend, and we had a blast. I got such huge laughs out of that movie, and I liked the pacing. I liked so much about it. I would have probably given it like an 8, maybe a 9 out of 10.
So remember the films that we talked about that are a 9 out of 10? You said Goodfellas, right?
Mm-hmm.
What else did we say? Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Mm-hmm. We gave. I said Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters.
Original Ghostbusters. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, where we get MODOK and Power Ranger suits, is on the same level.
And Cassie, who's awful. I don't know why they recast the actress from Endgame. They just get, she's awful, and she's written insufferably. And of course, she built a quantum thing, because every girl in Phase 4 is a scientific genius on the level of Tony Stark.
It's at least even with this comment, we're Josh, all three of us now are in sync. We're all lined up. Thank you, Josh. But yeah, like that's
it had a memory wall. He used the same technology.
Oh yeah, that's right. You touched the ship.
Touched the ship, and it was a memory wall, just like the memory sidewalk. So, hey, how about that?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's not a 9 out of 10. But, Rayla says, "Is there a chance that some of these people are actually really big fans of these IPs and they just can't see the problems? Like they are afraid to acknowledge it's over? Could be that. Could be kind of that." What is it called? It's like when you don't want to accept something that's dying. It's I'm blanking on I've got stream brain right now, but yeah,
Stockholm syndrome.
maybe that's it.
No, I have friends who are like that with Star Wars. It's like they're just like, The Mandalorian, that finale was so amazing, and I'm like, that whole season was hot garbage. Like everything. It's all dead. It's all meaningless. It's all just a hollow skin. But because it still has lightsabers in it, and there's some troopers and like some lasers, like they just ignore all the bad dialogue. They ignore the nonsensical story. They just ignore all those things because they're just glad to have Star Wars. And, on the one hand, I envy just being able to enjoy everything. But on the other hand, I don't respect it, and I'm glad that I'm not one of them, because I'm glad that like I can look at things and critically understand when things are bad and when things are good, and I know a lot of that comes down to taste, but a lot of it comes down to story construction, character motivation, understanding character arcs. These are all things that once you do it as a writer, as an editor, you're going to enjoy less things, because you're going to realize how many people that are writing don't understand any of those things.
Yeah. Josh says, I don't think it's that they can't. I think it's because they refuse to, because they want to get more. And that's kind of your point, Aaron, is I love what you said about the juxtaposition between I kind of like, or I don't, I wish that I had some of that whimsical, hey, I just, enjoy things because, but at the same time, you hate or you love that you're not that, because you see things you know how to respect them, and you know when something is respecting you as a fan, and you can objectively say, like, when you're criticizing something. So, but yeah, I think it is this kind of fear of, well, if I say that it's bad, like, we won't get any more of it, and it's like,
Or I'll be one of
that's
them.
and that's the biggest thing, is the I'll be one of them.
I won't fit in with my peer group anymore.
Michael says, here's something weird. I'm rewatching the Hobbit trilogy, and I'm not hating it this time. I think my general standards have slipped. Bancroft, I think honestly what probably happened was you watched Rings of Power, and then you watched The Hobbit, and then you went, whoa, that's what the heck, So I don't, your standards might have stayed the same, but when you introduce a new element like Rings of Power that is so shit, and you go, okay, this is a completely different different level playing ground. It's maybe then you go back and you watch stuff. So,
well, look at how many people looked at the shit show that was the Star Wars Disney sequel trilogy and Rey, and then went back and goes, maybe I don't hate the prequels, maybe I don't dislike the prequels as much as I thought I did. There's a lot of people that did that. There's a lot of and I've gone back and I've watched the Hobbit trilogy recently, because even when I saw it in theaters, I remember generally liking the first one, although I thought, like, man, they really drew like a lot of this out. But like 2 and 3, I remember like being very uncomfortable in the theater at like certain sequences and things like that, where I was like, this is stupid. So like, I think there's an edited version that could be very good, but I think, you can go back and you can watch The Hobbit, and at least they were still recognizable characters, and at least the performances were great. There's some great performances in there. That moment still gets me when the dwarves are singing in Bilbo's house, where they start singing about their lost home. Like, that feels very, very cool. And I even liked some of the little things that they added in that connected it more to Lord of the Rings to make it a prequel. I thought that's, they did some interesting world building that wasn't from the books, but it kind of fit the theatrical universe. And I was generally okay with it, but it's just, they were just overly long, and some of the action sequences were just ridiculously stupid. And, there was a lot of things where it's like, no, they'd all be dead from that fall. It's like, don't stretch the. I'm already here for the dragons and the orcs in this wonderful world, but don't just completely, make them cartoon characters.
Yeah, there has to be some sort of verisimilitude, and like, I know that people can say, like, oh, it's just a fantasy land of like elves and dwarves, so like, how can't you, like, no, there are rules that are established within these universes, and like within these sorry, I've got gum in my mouth, within these universes and within these like properties, that there still has to be some semblance of reality, or rule, like, you can't break those rules within the universe. I do think this is a great comment. Thank you for this, Mark. And this is really interesting. This could be like a whole video in and of itself. Sometimes people are just at different places in their fandom. Take the new Superman book. A new fan of the Man of Steel might be thinking this is amazing, but I've read too much Superman to believe he would so, or he would do, or I've read too much Superman to believe he would so. So with that, believe he would readily trust Lex. The thing with that is that, yes, there are like Zoomers that are currently just now reading comic books, and the current comics that they're reading, like that one kid we had on the show a couple weeks back, his first comic he ever read was the X-Men comic where Jean Grey goes into Iceman's head, and she finds out or tells him that he's gay, even though he didn't realize it. And that was the first comic he ever read. So to him, that's the current standard, right? And not even knowing, not even realizing that you have Fantastic Four 48, 49, and 50. The first appearance of Galactus and Silver Surfer, and how amazing of a story that was. Or, the X-Men, we were talking about The Brood the other day, Aaron, like how great of a storyline that is. Like, so kids that are within the current fandom now don't even realize what they're missing out on from previous years, because they think that this is it. They think this is the here and now, and these are just what comics are. And it's like, no, dude, you can access decades worth of stuff that is even better than that. But
you know what? And I'll say this, and then we can like start wrapping it up. I think that to an extent that seems to be the plan with Star Wars, which is it doesn't matter how crap they are. It doesn't matter if we lose the old fandom, because the small fandom that we've retained or grabbed with this trash Star Wars likes it, and then maybe eventually they'll have kids that they'll introduce it to, and then they'll like it. And because they started out with the crap Star Wars, they won't ever realize how good it could have been. So we can just keep producing low effort garbage, and they'll just keep consuming it and think that it's the greatest, because all they have to really compare, all they're really comparing it to, is the absolute shit of the sequels. That might be the overall strategy. It's like, we can't get back the people that we lost that loved real Star Wars. So, we'll just raise the next generation of people who like our, Star Wars TM.
Star Wars brand Star Wars TM, yeah.
I think that's what I'm going to start calling it, Star Wars brand Star Wars.
Yeah, there you go.
Now with more Star Wars. With more
and
Boba Fett's.
More Boba Fett's. Remember Boba Fett? Yeah. Jared, and this is great too. You started with the New 52 and then went back to the more classic era. Since I was able to better understand the characters, absolutely, man. I think that comes from a place of, I know you and I we've been on videos together, we've been on streams together, and I think it's because of your respect for these things and for these characters and these stories and properties. Like Jared, you are a plethora of knowledge, man, and it's because you read. You actually crack these books open and get into the heart of it. You're not reading a Wikipedia article, and so that's what I always love about your content, is you're actually reading these things and reviewing them. So yeah, man, I think that's why, even though you came in the New 52 era, which was, some people loved it, some people hated it, like anything. But even though you came in more of a modern era, you saw these characters and you go, they must have a legacy behind them, right? And sure enough, you were able to read all this amazing stuff behind them that you really enjoy and are now well versed in. So, but yes, I think we're going to call it a night. Jay, I think you got to head out as well. Thank you for being here, Jay. And thank you, chat, all for being here. I'm sorry we couldn't get through this video. This was one of the last things he had on here, was just keep calm and don't be a hater. And it's like, not everyone who critiques something is a hater.
I hate that. I hate that.
I hate that he had to put a keep calm and don't be a hater, dude. Don't be a hater.
That's so mid.
It's very mid.
And everything there, so like at the end, I'm going to say that I rate this video mid. It's not a 9 out of 10 like Ant-Man. It's just I think the things that he dislikes show that he does have some sense of what's good and what's bad, but I think that his whole take about like just being positive and I want to look at things with the wonder of a child, I think that's silly, and I don't think that he's actually going to be able to pull that off. But he'll be able to pretend in his videos that it is.
Unfortunately, I mean that's why I say there are people who are on YouTube who don't really delve into the commentary necessarily of the culture and the movies and the review, books and stuff. They kind of stay more on like the collector thing and grading or, speculation and stuff like that. But once they enter that like talk of, okay, commentary now, that's our realm. That's where you and I kind of thrive. And so I like bringing these videos on to really get into the, because like what we just did an EFAP of this video and broke down a lot of why these arguments don't work at their core. Not because like we hate this guy or anything. Like he's a really great content creator. I'm sure he's a great dude, but because these arguments don't hold up, and I hear them constantly, so I think it's good that we, kind of bring some of this stuff up and show people like, you're not crazy. There are people who think the same way as you. You're not insane. Don't let people tell you otherwise. You're not a hater. You are a fan, and you have a place here.
You're a discerning fan, and you have taste. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being given the spoonful of slop and saying, I don't like this. This does not taste good.
Yeah, or just by saying like, I'm good with not consuming. Like, hey, I don't need a 5-course meal. I'm good with just a dinner and like I'm good with the MCU. phase 1 through 3. I'm good with that. I love that, and I don't need all this consuming product to tell me how great it still is, I can still enjoy it for what it is, but anyway, I don't want to keep you too late. It's so funny because I always say like, oh, it's gonna be a short one tonight, and then we always still go over time. So
yeah, no, we're never
yeah.
gonna do a short one. It's not gonna happen. Like stop,
just no.
Stop it. It's not in our nature.
not in our nature, unfortunately. But fortunately and unfortunately, they're both good things. But I appreciate you being here with me, dude, and thank you for hanging with me. I was gonna try and do just like an hour and a half or 2 hours, but yeah, like I said, or like you said, not gonna happen.
I'm happy to come in and be the co-pilot.
Yeah. Oh my God, it works perfectly. And yeah, maybe I'll be able to get a video out of our commentary and our review of Attack of the Dock. So once again, chat, you guys are awesome. Josh was killing it tonight, gifting out memberships, buying hats like a madman. I'm so thankful for you guys. So thank you all for being here. Thank you to Aaron as always. I don't know if you have anything coming up or anything you want to promote, but if you do, you are more than welcome to do so before we dip out.
Okay. Well, hey, Miss Meow 8 comes out in comic book stores this week. So that's the final issue of this first series. And if you're a Born of Blood fan, it ties heavily into events in Drew's Born of Blood series. So definitely check that out. And just if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's just right there on the screen. And check out #KneelBeforeDoomface so you can see the new comic stuff that I'm working on. Renzo's a little busy right now in the trenches, but we're gonna have some new stuff to show off pretty soon.
Sweet, man. I cannot wait. It's gonna be a lot of fun to see that thing come to life. So
I'm gonna get canceled.
Yeah. I think it'll be good enough to where people from every side can laugh at it. I hope that they are objective enough.
I'm already blacklisted, and I don't want to work for the big two, so I'm fine.
We're gonna make you more money independently anyway. You don't need to work for the big two. So, all right. Well, sweet. Thanks again, brother. And chat, you guys are awesome. Hey, I will see you guys all this Wednesday at the Las Vegas meetup. If I don't see you there, I'll see you guys in Dallas. But when I come back from Vegas from the meetup, we'll do a stream and we'll just talk about the event. And you guys we'll go through photos. It'll be like when your uncle showed you the big PowerPoint slide of his recent trip to the Grand Canyon or something, but it'll be like that for Vegas. So
yeah, I think you said like Thursday and Friday events are sold out, but I may join you for the Wednesday meetup and just
sweet
come hang out with everybody is my current plan. So hopefully I can make that happen.
Excellent, man. Well, yeah. So if so, chat, you guys will see Aaron in those photos as well. So, as always, it is a pleasure to see you guys. Thank you all for being here. Reject modernity and embrace your legacy. And I will see you guys when I get back from Vegas. All right. Take care. Bye.